So, first things first, there were back to school is coming up. Back to school is coming up, and there were some things. Tuskegee University, if y'all want to come up now, y'all can. Tuskegee University has changed some dress code things, right? And there are people who feel some type of way about it. There are people who are saying that the dress code is kind of restricting black culture, so it's kind of anti-black in a sense. The dress code essentially is saying that not going to be any bonnets outside, like in college, and like in the classrooms, on the campus, or whatever, or in certain areas. No do rags. Um, they're saying what? No, like flip flops. They were saying something else like that, but it was really the thing that people were really kind of talking about is the no bonnets and no do rags, and a lot of people are divided about it. And I've been listening to different lives, hearing different people's stances on the situation. Some people in the chat room right now, you all are saying, well, that's a good thing. That's respectability politics. That's a good thing. That's respectability politics. So if we could just real quick, y'all let me know what y'all think about this situation. I've been trying to, I've wanted to save this for the State of the Union because it's not no big thing to do its whole live about. But now that we're here and now that we're talking about it, here's my thing on it. There is and this is a part of our culture. This is a part of our culture as foundational Black Americans. We have to understand that there is a cultural aspect because we do have different hair than everybody. So we have used these do-rags and bonnets and things like that for bed. Now, because of our culture, the fact that we make everything such a fashionable thing, we've made this a fashionable thing where now there's different colors and different styles and different designs. So when people talk about do-rags and bonnets and stuff like that being Black American culture, that is truth to that. It is truth to that. Okay? And it shouldn't be stigmatized because first off, it is there to protect our hair. All right? So I get what people are saying with that. We have to, though, understand that there is a time and place for everything, including attire. There's a time and a place for everything, including what you wear. Now, even if you want to make the argument that that is cultural, does that mean that that fits in every single environment? You know what I'm saying? Some things may be appropriate in certain settings and then inappropriate in other settings. And our culture has always understood that. It's only up until recently where people are saying that pretty much not having the full range to wear anything you want to wear at any time and any place is respectability politics. Okay? So that's kind of my thing with it. I think if you are preparing people for an advanced level, this isn't high school, okay? This is advanced education. This is a university who has a reputation to uphold. You know what I'm saying? So the presentation is important. And this isn't a presentation. I feel like this isn't a presentation to please the YT community or to please anybody else, but this is a presentation because it establishes, and this is why I think it's appropriate, because it establishes a sense of readiness, if you understand what I'm saying. When you leave the house, and this is something that we have to understand about our culture, when you leave the house and you're dressed well, you're groomed well, everything is put together, you leave the house with a different state of mind. You leave the house with a different preparedness. You leave the house with a sense of readiness. And therefore, with that energy that you're carrying outside of your house, you will be able to achieve and accomplish more things and higher quality things. Are you following me? All right. There's a sense of readiness and preparedness that you're walking into. Like, for instance, if you're going into the, if you going into the office, right? The person, if you have a person A and person B, and you see person A walking in, got their suitcase, desk clean, files filed, everything on their laptop and all of that good stuff, right? You think that person A is ready to do some efficient work. Person B coming in late, looking for their files, desk all messy, don't know where everything is. That person might do good work. I'm not saying that person won't, person B. Not saying that person won't. However, the readiness is going to affect the quality in that person's performance, right? So, is it necessarily about the respectability politics of it all, or is it more about a sense of adulthood and a sense of readiness? All right. My grandparents told me, okay, was it my grandma or my dad? I forgot which one. It was a very, very, very long time ago. We was at the store or something, and they saw somebody in their pajamas. Now, when people talk about respectability politics, this is not something that only black people do. There's a whole bunch of YT folk who be walking around in Walmart with their pajamas and tank tops and stuff. They are known for doing that. You go to some rural place. See, the thing is that they try to make it seem like all that stuff is black culture. That stuff is only found or predominantly found in the black community. Man, you go to some of these other places, you got some hillbilly walking in the dollar store with his shirt off. He got holes in his overalls and all that stuff. People, goddamn, folk be walking barefoot in restaurants. They be doing a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm not trying to beat on black culture, because if we compare apples to apples, even a hood ain't as bad as what they got going on. So I'm not, this ain't me trying to be like, black people need to be better. No, I ain't trying to say that at all. You go to some of these rural places with these hillbillies and stuff like that, they change their clothes once or twice a month. They be wearing shirts to the color changes. Come on, I don't know if y'all seen it. I've seen it. They hair get all sticky and stuff like that because they don't be cleaning it and stuff. I've seen it. You can't tell me I'm wrong. I've seen it. So I'm not trying to beat up on no black people at all. Okay? And a lot of y'all have seen it too. So, but back to the story, right? One of my grandparent, my parent, whatever, told me a young man does not leave the house with the same clothes he went to bed in. Okay? I don't remember how old I was, but I remember that saying. A young man doesn't leave the house in the same clothes he went to bed in. All right? And ever since then, I don't leave the house in the same clothes I went to sleep in. You ain't gonna see me else. I get it if you running and grabbing the mail real quick, or if somebody DoorDash something and you just running to pick your pizza up. Okay, I mean, all right, okay. We ain't got to be all like that. But like, if you go to sleep in that thing, you get up, you wash up, you prepare yourself, and then you are in a state of readiness for whatever happens for that day. Or you're in a better state, because I'm not saying you're going to be ready for everything. You're in a better state. This isn't to beat up on people who do it, but this is for other people to understand that. Okay? And I think that it's a good thing, because it does need to be enforced, right? Because what state of readiness are you going to be in if you're in pajamas all day? What state of readiness are you going to be in if you're in sleepwear all day? Okay? Let alone how society will perceive you. And I know a lot of people talk about they don't care what people think. And to a degree, you shouldn't. However, you should also care about your own reputation. You should care about how you present yourself. So there's nuance to that. You shouldn't be trying to be a people pleaser. I think when people talk about they don't care what people think, that means that they're not a people pleaser. And I don't think you should be a people pleaser where you're doing whatever and to please other people. You shouldn't do that. However, there should be a sense of, at least for anything else, yourself, a sense of presentation that you have with you. So you know. And I'm not saying some days you might not have enough time to get your hair picked out and do all of this stuff. Some days you might have to just put on a hat and walk out the house. I'm not saying you got to dress like it's Easter Sunday every single day with a suit and tie or a fancy dress. I'm not saying that either. Okay, for people who are going to take my words and exaggerate. I'm not saying that, but come on. Let's not play like we don't know what we're talking about. All right, let's not do that. So that's my thing on it. If y'all have a different opinion, hold on, there's people coming up. If y'all have a different opinion, y'all can feel free. Okay, we actually do have somebody who's coming up. Cole, how you doing?
Hey, what's up? I'm doing well, thank you.
All right. Is there anything you want to say on this subject?
I think I think we're supposed to, make sure that we are more of a solution than a problem,
Okay.
in every respect, even when there's disagreements, and particularly in front of people that don't look like me. I make sure like you look like me. So I'm not going to argue with you in front of people who don't look like me. I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
If you know what I mean.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, you staying on code all the time. I appreciate that. All right. Somebody asked what's the topic about. Well, we're really discussing a lot of topics, and I'm trying to get the lighter topics out the way first, so we can make room for the heavier topics later on down the line. All right. Now, there's more people coming up. So before I switch topics, let me let people come up because I'm pretty sure they want to weigh in on what we just discussed as far as Tuskegee. So I'm letting people up. Okay, so are y'all up? Y'all up on the thing? So I'm just do it like that. Let's get to Black Man.
Afro, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
I just want to make a quick point, or to ask you to address. One of the sisters is making a comment based off what you're saying. Is there an echo?
Hold on. Let me see. Cole, you might have an echo.
You good?
Let me just mute Cole real quick. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, she was saying that if you're paying for your tuition, you should be able to dress or do what you want to do since you're paying for it. But this higher education, this is a privilege. Like
You said what? Did you mute?
fix.
I couldn't hear. I
So I would
couldn't hear
like for
you.
you to
Say
touch
that
on
again.
that.
Say that one more time, bro.
Just because you're paying for it doesn't give you that.
Okay.
You got me now?
Yeah. You kind of broke up to me a little bit.
Okay. So what I was saying was she was making the point that since you're paying for your tuition, you should be able to have the privilege to wear or have your own dress code or whatever. But um but just because you're paying for your tuition, you still have to send in a formal application to be accepted to that particular university, which means it's a privilege to learn at that university. So there's criteria and protocols that you have to follow. It's just not a fee-based education system. So I would just like for you to talk on that point.
Oh yeah.
It's
Okay.
and then they have and it's a standard where you also have to compete with other universities as well. So you got people walking up in class and do rags and shit. Who's going to take your university serious? So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear that. Okay. Well, let's be consistent with that logic. If we're going to use that logic, right? if you have an apartment and they say no dogs allowed, no animals, no pets allowed in the apartment, and you say, well, I'm paying rent, so I can have however many animals I want to have. Hold on, let me just mute you real quick. You know, I'm paying rent. I can have however many animals I want to have in the apartment. I can have however many people I want to have. There's still rules and regulations. Okay, you are paying however you sent the application to be accepted, which means, by definition, that you are accepting the criteria and the rules of this establishment. It's still not your establishment. You know what I'm saying? And they still have rules and regulations. And then my thing is this. Where does that stop? Where does the line, with that logic, where does the line get drawn? With that logic, where does the line get drawn? Because can you show up to work in your or not work class? Can you show up to class in your underwear? If somebody just walked in with their boxes on and be all like, "Well, I pay for it, so I can walk in however I want to walk in," where does that line get drawn exactly? If it can't get drawn at bonnets and do-rags, can it get drawn at bikinis? And then with the same logic that protects the bonnets and do-rags, what about bikinis and boxers and all of that? And what about that? And people just walk in barefoot and all? What about that? Like, where does the line get drawn? It has to be drawn somewhere. And this isn't just a HBCU thing. All universities have some form of dress code. It's just at these other universities, white folks don't wear do-rags and bonnets and stuff like that. So that is not even a necessary thing for them to establish. Because if you go to a 95% white university, ain't nobody going to school or class and they do-rag anyway. But there still is a dress code, right? It might be a little bit more, depending on whatever university, lenient or not, but that's how I would respond to that. And even still, this isn't to necessarily compare us to them. This is about how we are going to operate ourselves and our culture. But that would be my response to it. Tiara, how you doing, Tiara?
I'm doing good. I thought this was interesting because I visited Tuskegee a couple of years ago. And I just want to say this, and I'm not taking away from the point because I agree with you. But when I visited there, Tuskegee could use some maintenance issues. Tuskegee is in the middle of a food desert. I don't know how the children that don't have students, I'm sorry, but children to me, but I don't know how they go to a store without a car. There's nowhere to get fresh produce. There's nowhere, I don't know how they eat. So when we went to the mess hall, I couldn't even get hot water to make instant coffee. So just like Howard had mold issues and all that type of stuff in the dorms, let's deal with that first, right? Because people are paying tuition. And Tuskegee in particular has our ancestors' fingerprints in the bricks. So I think that we can do a little better as far as like worrying about that first. And maybe worrying about that at the same time while we're worried about dress code. So I just want to put that out there.
I'm gonna let you finish your point. I'm gonna let you finish.
And I don't know why it's here, I unplugged my phone. I don't know if that will help. I'm sorry that it's like
it's okay.
Kind of echoing. But I just want to say about the whole dress code thing. Everybody has to be groomed about how to go out into the world. And we've heard all of those arguments, but I'm going to use something shallow. You never want to go anywhere looking like you should be at home. You never want to go anywhere looking like how you don't want to be perceived. I'll give an example. Years ago, I dated a guy who dogged me out and did me pretty dirty. And I broke up with him ghosted him, didn't talk to him, completely ignored him. And I got up really tired going to work one day, feeling really tired. I just didn't want to dress up. I just wanted to do the maximum minimum. And something in my spirit said, don't do that. It's a nice day. Put a dress on, like do something with your hair, pick out some earrings, like, dress. But why not dress today? So I did. And on my lunch break, I was walking up the street to get something to eat. And I seen him coming down the street with the girl that he picked over me, who was, an Asian woman who was built like a refrigerator, no shade. But he was walking down the street with the chick he thought was better. And let me tell you, I was in my sundress pushing, baby. I was cute. I locked eyes with him and he locked eyes with me. And he spoke to me in front of his woman.
Damn.
I just kept it pushing. And he was back in my email after that. So all I'm saying is this.
He hit you up on email? Hell no. You must have been killing in that sundress. He
has never
it's desperate when somebody sends you an email.
Man, how are you? How are the kids? Woo. Man, okay? So all I'm saying is this. Don't ever go out the house looking like you should be at home. It's somebody that might want to offer you a job. My grandmother used to tell me that. It might be somebody that you ain't seen in 20 years. And I'm just saying, if we don't want to take the logical respectability stuff, let's just be shallow then, right? Let's just be shallow. Let's just say that, if you outside and you see somebody that used to dog you out in high school or something like that, you want to look like you that. Yes, it'll make your day, okay? So that's all I'm going to say. Yeah. Just take that with you.
Yeah. I want to speak to the thing which you were talking about Tuskegee and food deserts and Howard and all that. This is a criticism I've been having of HBCUs for a few years now. And anytime I bring it up, and this is around this time where people are starting to go back to school and all, and anytime I bring it up, people are like, oh, let's not beat up on the HBCUs. Let's not beat up on the HBCUs. But when are we going to have an honest conversation about the quality of the HBCUs? And I'm not talking about the students or even necessarily the staff, but I'm talking about when are we going to have an honest conversation about what they're doing with all of the money? Because I guarantee you they're not giving nobody no discounts if there's mold in the walls in the bathroom. Okay, they're not cutting nobody no slack or nothing like that. They charging people full price, and this is something, right? This is something that we've been saying that I know I have been saying for a while, because even, I don't know if you guys know about like football and all that stuff. Even when Coach Prime was working at an HBCU and they didn't really want to pay him for real, even though he was bringing a whole bunch of money to the school. And when he left, everybody was criticizing, saying that you should have stayed with the HBCU. It made me think about how HBCUs are pretty much just riding off of the notoriety and respect and nostalgia that the community has for them. But like, honestly, how much of that are they doing? It seems like they're just straight up robbing people at this point, and everybody is silent about it. Because these students are not paying no cheap little money, okay? These students are performing, these students are paying, and you look at their quality of living in that situation, and it's not good. And we keep talking about, well, the HBCUs need more funding. Well, y'all need to make better. To me, y'all need to show how y'all deserve that funding then, because that is unacceptable. Because I can guarantee you there's certain faculty members and professors and alumni and all that stuff where most of the money goes to. They're not evenly distributing the money, making sure like, okay, we got to make sure that gets fixed, that gets fixed, that gets fixed, that gets fixed. No, they get more than enough donations to not have those problems. Come on. And it seems,
can I just add one more thing? I'm sorry.
Like the problems are getting worse. But yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to add also.
I attended Hampton University and graduated from Seton Hall.
Okay, hold on. Let's get to her and then we'll We'll get to you.
I was just wanting to say also and add that, Booker T. Washington and George Washington Carver are buried on the grounds
George
of
Washington
Tuskegee.
Carver.
I'm sorry, that's what I meant. They're buried there. I didn't know until I visited that, that they were there. So I think that's just another reason why, like, let's take that part seriously. But I'm going back, like, in a week and a half. So maybe it's different. I don't know. But a couple years ago, that was what I saw.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I get it, and I also hear the response too, and like, if y'all gonna trip on somebody for do rags and bonnets, even though I already gave you my stance on that, if y'all gonna make that a big deal, if you're gonna have a dress code and that's gonna be a big deal, which it's really not, but if y'all gonna make it a thing, a rule now, then are we gonna have higher quality of things? It's like you living in an apartment and you get noise complaints and they tell you, oh, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, and you got to follow all of the rules in said apartment. However, they don't ever come and fix the sink. Your sink been leaking for a while. You know what I'm saying? The AC don't work. The lights go on and off. The heat don't really work like that. The AC heat don't work. What's going on? But they always knocking at your door for noise complaints. So I do understand that part. Be all like, come on, if we don't make me all this, hold me to the standard, and then y'all don't be held to a standard either. So, we got to be fair with that argument. What standard are they being held to try to enforce a standard on the student? So we got to, that's what I'm saying. We have to be fair with the situation. All right, we got to be fair with that. Because if I was in that situation, I feel some type of way too. I'm coming to class with my do-rag on. Y'all got mold in the bathroom. Talking about I need to come in with a fresh cut. What do you know? So, yeah, I mean, if you look at it that way, and they do have an argument. Let's get to mind power.
Well, depending on what school you're at, too. Just to let you know.
Yeah. Even though I still say for yourself, when I was talking about that, I'm not talking about the college. I'm talking about how you present yourself. That was the original argument. Because it shouldn't be about you going to college or you being in the university or whatever you have. It's about a principle you should carry for yourself personally. That's what I was really talking about. But
that's one of the things that schools that's one of the things that school teaches. They teach you protocols. They teach you those type of things. For those who don't have it.
Yeah. Yeah, and they should. They should. There's nothing wrong with that. We've always had that. All right, let's get to mind power.
All right, peace. I'm gonna make it quick, brother Afro panel chat. Salute to y'all. I definitely want to echo the sister's commentary and your commentary as well. If we're going to be demanding higher standards with dress, we need to demand higher standards with education, the tools available, the building infrastructure, the allocation of resources, things of this nature. Because what we don't want is a bunch of old boule busters sitting up there lecturing us. Oh, you young whippersnappers, you FBAs, and you should vote Democrat and take off the do-rag. Nah, we're not trying to listen to that. We want tangibles. That means in every aspect of life, including higher quality tangibles in our education system, especially if we're paying all this money. So nothing wrong with, having standards for oneself, following the traditions of our ancestors. We've always been well-dressed, well-groomed, even when poor. We tried our best to look sharp. So there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is when people start misallocating it, and we already know what the black raccoon, conservatives be doing. They be using this to attack us and whatnot, and that's not the direction that we're coming from. We say, hey, for us, we want to do better, not for YT, not for anybody else's sensibilities, but just for us, and to hold each other to a higher standard. So nothing wrong with that, not at all.
I agree. Thank you. All right, yeah. I think we need to stop thinking of every standard is a standard because of something else. Every standard we hold ourselves to is a standard we're holding ourselves to because we're competing with another community. We're competing with Asians. We're competing with Hispanics. We're competing with white folk. We're competing with no. There are standards we hold ourselves to because we feel some type of way about ourselves, and there is a vision and goal that we want to see our community achieve and reach. So that's why we hold ourselves to a standard, so that goal is reachable. All right, for the future, for the kids, for the youth, all of that. Okay, let's get to Mike Twice. Mike Twice. All right, well, Mike Twice is not ready, so we're gonna get to Unwritten.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Good, good. Yeah, no, I echo that as well. I think it really starts with the environment, right? Children, students, they're just a product of the environment itself. And so you have to prioritize what is the conditions that they're witnessing, and they're kind of reflecting that. So you have to change the conditions to change the outcome ultimately. And I think the conversation leans a little bit too heavily on students, especially if the argument is presentability when you have visitors, or you looking at different universities, because you can see a well-dressed population of students. However, if the infrastructure is not up to par, does that not also impact that quote unquote presentation, right? And that's something outside of the student's responsibility. So I do agree that it's both, but I would put more emphasis on the actual institutions themselves than just, headwear that you wear to bed. Like that's very easy to change. And then to your point of comparing ourselves to other communities, regardless of what other communities do, we still have to define a standard for ourselves. If white tea and Asians and all of them, if they decided to drop out of school tomorrow and refocus, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're now going to drop out of school and follow them, because we don't follow them, right? They're copying us. So I think we have to be reminded that we are the standard, and that getting back to our roots, essentially, in this country of how we've always carried ourselves as people, and just reminding that and teaching that to our youth that, hey, this is not how we present ourselves as a culture, and we don't want that to be lost on people. But yeah, I'll end there.
Yeah, I agree. We can't let we can't even let the conversation of standards be held to, well, we got to do this because other people are doing this. Because when we have that, we allow the white community to pretty much be the standard bearer. And we're always playing catch up when it comes to their standards, or we're playing response when it comes to their standards, instead of developing and holding our own standards regardless of anybody else. But to that point, to your point about the actual university, for the university to request some type of standard for the student, the university must first set an example of high standards. And let's be honest, are Tuskegee, and you even mentioned Howard, and I've heard things about Howard, right? Are Tuskegee and Howard holding to a high standard to be able to even demand a higher standard of appearance or performance or whatever from the students? You know what I'm saying? It's like the boss that shows up late all the time, yet want to write people up for being 5 minutes late or coming back from break late or whatever. But this boss be 20, 30 minutes late on a regular basis. As the boss, the manager, supervisor, whatever, you are supposed to set the standard. You can't demand the students have a higher standard than you as the university are going to hold yourself to. You can't demand a higher standard of presentation than you hold yourself to. Okay? So to that point, yeah, we gotta be honest with it, and we have to be mature with that conversation because there's a bit of both. All right. So I do understand both sides of the argument with that fully.
Tough. My bad, big brother. First off, shout out to you, Afro Elite, man.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
I mess with you, G. But yeah, to piggyback off that, yeah. First off, I feel like we gotta stop. We gotta stop doing that. We gotta stop comparing ourselves to other people. You feel me? Because it's like we have to do our own thing. You know, but it's kind of crazy because everybody base everything off of what we do. So it's kind of weird, but I ain't gonna be too long though. But yeah, it's kind of crazy, brother.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
I'm a laying there, man. I ain't even gonna say too much, man.
I appreciate.
How you
that,
doing?
bro.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, you can do that, and then we got a couple other subjects I want to discuss. Go ahead.
Yeah, I won't be long. I mean, I just gotta say thank you for the depth you bring to this app, just with your discussions
Thank you.
and just your balanced approach to everything we've discussed in the past. Again, I won't take long, but I just think when it comes to the Tuskegee situation, two things. One, when we go to a nightclub or when we go to a restaurant, we're paying our money. If we don't have on what those restaurants or nightclubs say, we don't go in. We go to another nightclub or restaurant. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I liken that to the Tuskegee situation. If you don't fit in, you don't fit in. This policy has been there since 2021. So whether they enforce it or not is another story. I'm third generation of four generations of HBCU graduates myself. The second thing, and I guess is more important, part of this Tuskegee discussion and the situation is our fault as Black Americans. We've not gatekept enough to allow everybody who has not seen the inside of an HBCU, who's not a descendant of HBCU culture or Black people who are not even Black, to have a say-so what happens when we make a decision for our own brand. Harvard University, you could say that. One class, you have to wear chinos to get to that class. There's not an outcry. That's Harvard's brand. That's what they want to do. Tuskegee has said this. And for some reason, we've allowed a paternalistic approach to anything a Black institution or a Black agency says about something or a rule we want to create. This is a public discussion for an HBCU that's private in the Ruby Red, Alabama. And for me, that's what makes me shake our heads. I think we're being slightly off when we're creating an either or. Most HBCUs don't have bad infrastructure. The education is the best for Black people. Black people who graduate from HBCUs fare better than Black people who graduate from non-HBCUs. It's a sense of safety, a sense of pride. The networking is unmatched still at these HBCUs.
When you say they do better, in what way you're talking?
Better as far as economically. That's the metric that I read in Forbes magazine.
Does it
I
matter
can
if
tell
they're
you for
D9
a
or not?
fact. I went to. Go ahead. I'll wait.
I didn't read anything about D9.
Because I know that those people fare pretty well from the HBCUs, but the people that just get a regular degree or they're not a part of those organizations, they don't do as well as those in the D9. There's a network for them.
Well, the
Based
report
off
I
of
read,
what?
it wasn't D9, and I apologize for not being able to recall that particular element of the article.
I think that's how they sometimes lie with statistics, though, because I think that that's more true than just being an HBCU graduate. Because I live here in the Pacific Northwest. I have a best friend who went to Clark Atlanta, became a teacher. The debt that she's incurred, she's still paying off. She's 40. You know, like, I mean, teaching. She also went to Tulsa and did some time there teaching, and I mean, it wasn't strong enough for her to be able to stay in it and stay down there. She had to end up coming home. But I know
Well,
that
I think
people
that's the industry,
that
though, right?
yeah, just
More than
personally, I went to Talladega and I went to Howard, and I'm doing as well as a lot of my good friends who did not go to HBCUs, and quite a few of my white friends who went to PWIs. And again, I got confidence there. I got networking there. I've never felt safer anywhere else than the HBCUs I attended. So yeah, the education is unmatched still.
Can I ask?
So
Can I ask
again,
though?
if we want to,
Can I say something about that?
Hold on.
of course,
Let me
and I
let
can
me add
land
this.
because you've been gracious enough to let me talk. So I'll land right there. Thank you very much. Thank you all for engaging.
Let me add this. And I don't know of the statistic that you're citing, so I'm not even going to try to refute it. I'm going to take, let's say that's what you saw and all that. Although I do think that I don't think that anybody who goes to a HBCU is having this lab. I know plenty of people who went to HBCUs who are doing maybe above average, if above average. So I can't necessarily say I've seen that myself, but I'm not going to refute that. However,
You can Google it. You can Google it right now. It's the first thing that comes up.
Okay. And there's a statistic that says anybody who goes to a community college does better.
Can I share my HBC experience?
Hold on, before you do that, I do think though that this is what happens often when we have a conversation about HBCUs, is that someone who's, like you said, you're what, third generation HBCU? Like
Third generation of 4 generations in my family.
So your family, not only you, but your whole family has been there. Your whole family has pride and a sense of identity in connection to HBCUs.
Yes, sir.
Which is a great thing. However, do you feel, and I want to get your honest response to it, do you feel that does create a bias in the critique of HBCUs? Because when we have and I'm gonna finish with the point here.
Yes, sir.
Because when we have the conversation about HBCUs, we have somebody such as yourself whose family's been to HBCUs, they've been to HBCUs, they feel a strong connection and identity with HBCUs, and they're here to counter all of the criticisms of HBCUs. And our criticisms of HBCUs are not coming from a bad place, okay, or a disingenuous place. But I'm asking, don't you feel like that would give you some type of bias?
I would accept my bias only in as much as a person who did not go to an HBCU would acknowledge their own.
You think that people who didn't go to an HBCU is biased against HBCUs?
In as much as I might be biased, we all pay taxes. I certainly don't feel that my comparison or my love for an HBCU, I don't see it as a binary situation. It's the only thing that I'm concerned about. I don't see an either or there. However, I'm not going to sit here and say I have a bias, whereas a person can lord that over me who did not go to an HBCU, who can say he's scot-free as far as his biases are concerned.
All right. The reason I'm asking this is because...
Can I share something? I went to Ham.
Real quick, the reason I'm just gonna state the reason I'm asking, and then I'm gonna let you share your experience. The reason I'm saying this is because ultimately we're bringing up critiques that not things we've seen, people on this app. We have students in HBCUs who have been complaining about these things for years. So we're not coming at this from a bias, I kind of don't like HBCU perspective. We're kind of speaking on issues that actual students of HBCUs have been conveying and complaining about for a while. You can go through this app right now. You can go through TikTok right now and search up all of the complaints about mold. I've seen complaints about light shutting off, water being dirty, rodents and things like that from actual dorming HBCU students. So this isn't this isn't coming from, well, we never went to an HBCU, so we don't care about it. It's like, no, there does have
Yes,
to be a
sir.
point where we bring these complaints to the table.
I can appreciate your approach, but there are over 114 HBCUs, right?
Yeah.
So we're in proximity just by the fact that we're on social media with people who attend HBCUs, people who are dwelling in Black spaces. So just like we hear the good, we're going to hear the bad. Never do I hear, when I see something negative about other Black people in Black spaces, am I going to attribute that to the entire body of the Black people who they might represent? Yes, there are terrible infrastructure issues at some HBCUs that are being repaired, but I would never I would be careful to paint that situation with HBCUs with a broad brush. We can say things about mold. That's the one thing you seem to bring up. So I'm not going to doubt that. But those things are being repaired. Some things are not being repaired. Some of the administration they're terrible at HBCUs. I will say that. But we hear about that because we're in the spaces with people who can complain. Now, we can go on and talk about the frat parties and the murders and things like that at private white, predominantly white institutions if we want to go up that slippery slope. Okay. We can compare. And I don't think HBCUs will fare any worse than non-HBCUs.
Okay. Well, to that point, let me just pause that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we're having a mature conversation, and
I appreciate your balance. I'll go on mute. Thank you.
Cole, you said you wanted to share your experience.
Yeah, I've experienced both. I went to Hampton University on an athletic scholarship. I stayed there 2 years. I transferred to Seton Hall. And what Seton Hall did, they accepted my credits, but they did not award anything to my degree just because I was coming from a historical Black school. Unfortunately, they didn't say because of that, but that's what they did. I had to start. I spent 2 years at Hampton and 5 years at Seton Hall, because they didn't look at Hampton as although Hampton is accredited and I enjoyed being there, they didn't look at Hampton as a standard that matched up with Seton Hall.
Oh, wow.
Right, wrong, or indifferent. And also, I got a job. I got my corporate job out of Seton Hall. And I was, out of all the people that they interviewed, I must have been 1% Black of their interviewing process. And they positioned me to get a corporate job where I stayed for 20 years.
Okay. All right.
So
that's interesting.
it's depending on what you're dealing with. You know what I mean? And how you utilize what you have.
Sorry, what's Seton Hall? What's Seton Hall?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What is Seton Hall?
You're going in and out. I can't hear.
What's Seton Hall? It's a wonderful
Seton Hall University. It's a private Catholic
institution.
school in South Arlington.
Okay, is that another HBCU?
No, it's not.
Oh, got you. Oh, so you're
No. It's
no.
It's private Catholic.
So is it not a PWI?
I was giving you a comparison. I went to Hampton, which is a HBCU.
So your comparison is that
I went to Seton Hall. I graduated from Seton Hall, which is quite different.
Hold on, brother. Hold on.
So are you saying that you basically went to? Yeah.
Okay.
So I just want to. So you're saying you went to an HBCU, it didn't work out for you, therefore you went to a PWI and it did work out for you?
Hey, excuse me, white man talking. Is this the Wake Forest sorority meetup?
I'm sorry, you're breaking up. What was
Your
that?
mama's house.
I said basically, are you saying that you went to an HBCU, you didn't necessarily have a good experience, or you decided to transfer, and then you went to a PWI and that worked out for you? Is that what you're saying?
No, I had an excellent experience at Hampton. I played sport. I had an excellent, let me explain. I had an excellent experience at Hampton, but I had to transfer because of family reasons. But what I noticed when I did transfer to Seton Hall University, they better prepare me than Hampton did for corporate America.
So okay, so that's what I'm saying. You did. Okay,
And one of
I
the
don't want to be.
reasons
I don't want to. I don't want to
is
get
because at
nuanced.
Hampton,
It sounds like you're
a
right, but this kind of echoes a little bit what Buckworm is trying to avoid of this comparison between PWIs and HBCUs in this conversation, because you have a lot of people who have animosity against HBCUs who are bringing in a little bit of their anti-blackness and trying to make PWIs preferential over HBCUs in this conversation. And so you got to be careful with that, right? Because like I said, we want to avoid
but that's not what I'm doing. I'm
but
promoting
you did though.
HBCUs.
But you just promoted.
But I'm promoting HBCUs.
You just said a HBCU didn't prepare you properly.
No, you didn't hear. You didn't hear everything, ma'am. Ma'am, you didn't hear everything. Trust me. That's not what I'm doing. I was trying to explain to you the differences and how one was an advantage over another in a different way. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. All right then. Well.
Yeah, I'm not putting anything down. I think HBCUs are great for certain types of students that need certain things in an educational experience.
Well, just to balance that out, I also went to an HBCU, and I would not be where I am today had I not had that experience. They prepared me exceptionally well for corporate America, where I am the only young executive in my company that is Black. So they prepared me exceptionally well. I mean, that's I'm like, to balance the conversation out, like we're not going to make it seem like our HBCUs are not able to prepare us.
And just really, I'm not even thinking about the balance conversation, just going back to the unbiasedness. I had a niece who went to the University of Georgia 2 years ago. And I had a nephew that went to Albany State in HBCU that same semester. He got to Albany State and the hot water was not working in the bathroom. However, when my niece got to University of Georgia, the hot water was working, but in the bathroom, written on the mirror was "nigger go home," and Charlie Kirk.
Don't say the N-word like that.
I'm sorry, N-word go home. And Charlie Kirk was coming to visit in 2 weeks. So I don't even know if there's a balance there.
Here's what I want to say, because there are a couple more subjects I want to discuss. I think that HBCUs have a history in Black culture, and there's a reason for it. I think HBCUs are important, all things considered. I think there is importance to, first off, education, and not just the education itself. I think there is an importance to the experience of getting that education. If to be honest with you, I think ultimately you can make the argument that there's it's more beneficial for you to get the experience of gaining the skills of education than the actual knowledge itself. There's more skills that you're able to get. You know, the term is not what you know, is who you know. The skills that you're able to obtain by going to HBCUs, being able to research, being able to network, being able to talk to who, or being able to kind of polish yourself in a sense. And that polishness, going back to what I was saying, that you being polished and ready for that next phase in your life is arguably more valuable than just the degree itself. Okay? Because you can use that skill, because that's a personal self skill, to launch you further or even in different directions than necessarily the degree will take you. You know? So I think that there is an importance of that. I'm not going to try to belittle HBCUs, belittle their significance, belittle anybody who's been to an HBCU or anything. However, though, we do have a thing where if something is real good, we have a thing where we put this on a pedestal and it's above criticism. Nobody can say anything about it. Look how much good it's done. Look how much good they've done. You can't say anything about it. There's no critique. We're plugging our ears. La, 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 la. We can't hear you. We can't do that now. That's my thing. We can't do that where now if there's any critique, people paying full price for a tuition or anything like that, now they have the credibility of their accomplishments, which we will give them. Therefore, they can't be critiqued with anything moving forward. I don't agree with that. We have to be fair with it. So that's where I'm at with it.
100%. I think we should compare HBCUs as how we want them to be versus how we see other universities, PWIs. I think that at least that's my perspective. I don't like when we compare anything we do to other communities because our standards don't have to be predicated upon what they got going on.
I think it's a fair statement, Afro Elite. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Correction is love.
Yeah.
It don't have to be about being evil or anything like that or making unfair comparisons. Correction sometimes is love because, they all have some flaws. We all have flaws in higher education. Howard dogged out Francis Cress Welsing. Let's not forget that. I'm just saying it can be okay to just point some things out and ask for better. That's all.
That's true. That's true. Because how are we going to improve if we don't? BX, how you doing?
I missed you. I missed
you.
I've been taking a break. Sometimes I've been on this app combating certain narratives, especially when it comes to New York and hip hop, always telling the truth. I've been selfless, but I haven't been taking time for myself. So I've been catching up on some rest, trying to finish some projects, but I'm catching up on rest. Other than that, I'm fine, and it's really good to see you're up doing State of the Union of Foundational Black Americans. So what topics do you have today? I got to be honest. I kind of want to introduce, if you don't have it on the agenda, the Dominicans blaming Black Americans for the near riot at their parade.
I didn't have that on my agenda, so we can definitely add that.
Thank you.
What I wanted to talk about, and I don't know how much of a conversation this is going to be, so that's why I wanted to wait to the State of the Union. But if any of you all, and I guess this is a good way to transition into the next subject, if any of you all are Marvel fans or fans of the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you all understand that the previous actor for the Black Panther character, Chadwick Boseman, passed away in 2020 because of, I don't even know if I can say because of a sickness, right? A serious sickness, and rest in peace to him. There was some things about recasting him. Now, I have always been of the opinion that they should have recast him. I think they made a mistake, and they had his little sister play the Black Panther, which is comic book accurate, because that did happen. It's comic book accurate. But now the MCU is moving forward with the Black Panther character, and they want T'Challa, who is the main Black Panther, to be the Black Panther. So they did a thing where now I'm assuming that this new Black Panther is going to be his son with his same name. So recently, Marvel came out with the cast of the new Black Panther. In the cast, the person who's going to play, I guess, T'Challa Jr., I suppose. If it is T'Challa, it might be T'Challa from like another universe or something. But T'Challa Jr. is going to be David Johnson. David Johnson is British. I think he's British. I don't know if he's like British Caribbean or British African, but he's British, right?
African.
He's African. I thought he was okay. African.
They also Nigerian? Said junior. I don't know, probably. But Afro, they're saying he's supposed to be the junior.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because that's how the second movie, spoilers, that's how the second movie ended, by saying that he had a son. So some people feeling some type of way about it, some people not. I don't know how much of a conversation we're going to have with this, but I'm going to give my take on it, right? The character of the Black Panther, I think it was really fun, especially if you're into comic books. I think it's very fun because we don't get to see people who look like us at all, period, really in any type of fantasy whatsoever. You know, you have white folk, Asian folk, they be having kingdoms and dynasties and ancient dragons and all of that stuff. we are always kept out of those things where all of our stuff has to be kind of very present, very realistic. We don't have the luxury of exploring like some fantasy kingdom and all of that. That is something that we don't get to see represented. Okay. And Black Panther did provide that for a lot of people. So I understand that. I totally do. I get it. And Chadwick Boseman, he really brought out the best of that character. And a lot of people like that. You know, some people are saying, well, you know, in the story, he's Wakandan. Wakanda is in Africa. So he's a continental African. So what should it matter? I think people are upset about it is because they grew up with that character and with looking at the Black Panther lore as a fantasy and being able to see someone who looks like you and someone who, even if they're not your ethnicity, someone you can kind of see yourself in that sense, right? So I understand that. I understand why people are upset about it. And I understand people saying, well, if the character's not FBA, we shouldn't feel no type of way about it. And it goes that way. I want to take the conversation to another place, though. Going back to what Drewski had made his skit about the Brits playing in black roles, Black American roles, right? Going to that skit, I think that this casting further proves the legitimacy of that skit. Because it further proves, I know David Johnson. I didn't see The Long Walk. Everybody's talking about that movie. I saw when he was in the most recent Alien movie. I've always been a fan of like the Alien Predator franchise. I've pretty much watched all of those movies. Okay. And the TV shows and stuff like since a kid, I've always been a fan of both of those franchises. Right. So, I saw him in that. I think he did well. I think he probably is a good actor. I haven't seen him in anything else, but I'm noticing he was in that movie and he was in a couple other movies very recently, like back to back to back to back. And then now he has this huge breakout role. He's a young actor, doesn't have a lot to his name like that. And it's almost if they've been wanting to put him on a pedestal for a while, and they kind of just gave him some good roles so he can have a little bit of grounding before they really propelled him. And this is what I'm talking about when it comes to the pedestalization of British actors. You know, for someone who, even if he has great projects, not too much, not too many projects. And it seems as if to a lot of Black Americans, we can have a plethora of projects behind our name, and we might not ever get that super huge breakout role, but a British person can come overseas, get 2-3 movies, and now they have a multi-million-dollar contract with one of the biggest movie franchises, period. So it's like, okay, we are quite literally seeing, whether this is Black Panther or not, we're quite literally seeing like, y'all really do go above and beyond to put Black Brits. I know they don't even like calling themselves Black Brits anymore. They call themselves like African Brits or Caribbean Brits or whatever. They don't even really do it like that no more. But they do a lot to really put them on in American movies. Okay. And I see a lot, and I see why a lot of people are upset about that. Not necessarily because Black Panther is a foundational Black American. To me, it's because y'all, why do y'all go so hard in the paint to make sure these, for the sake of the argument, Black Brits got a solidified place in Hollywood? And I think that this is bigger than just the MCU. This is a deeper Hollywood thing. All right? It's a deeper Hollywood thing because there is, and let's be honest, when it comes to entertainment, especially film, there's like this glass ceiling that Black Americans are stuck under. And only a few of them ever really break out. You know, you do have some Denzel, you have a Denzel Washington, Angela Bassett and Samuel L. Jackson and all of that, but you really rarely ever see any black Americans break through that glass ceiling. You used to. Back in the day, it was a very normal thing to see. Now that glass ceiling is real thick, and you pretty much don't see that anymore. All right? So unless they've been in movies for like 20 years, you're not really going to see a black American in no super big role, with the exception of Michael B. Jordan. So I understand what people are saying when it comes to that. And I understand their feelings as far as that's concerned.
Can I tell you about the putting Brits over Black Americans?
Yeah.
I was looking for clips, right? And I saw 154 podcast. They were mentioning how they are, air quotes, classically trained. They do like Shakespeare, such as Macbeth and this and that and the third. And a lot of Black Americans in the comments, including myself, was like, well, we read, Shakespeare in like elementary and high school. So it's not that. Mm-hmm. That's a standard that they have. I don't know where it came from, but they're leaning on being classic. They're more classically trained actors than we are. But what they don't understand is they don't have the emotion or the ancestral ties to play our roles. They don't bring, they can't bring our people, our heroines, our legends to life. And I think that it's an agenda of Hollywood. And I also think that the Africans never stopped selling us out to the Europeans, right? And so they're just giving them a little pat on the head, but we got to show them better than we can tell them. And that's by boycotting. As far as Black Panther, I'm over that. Sometimes movies, one and done. It's a classic, the first one. Very rarely will I watch a whole series. But the fact that they keep putting these Brits in these roles, and I have to see people on Twitter telling me how much better they are. It's about Africa anyway, and we don't know what we're talking about. I'm not supporting it. We broke every barrier, every racial barrier. And I'm not saying kiss our feet or kiss our rear end, right? But be humble, damn it. Or you wouldn't even have these so-called prestigious careers, these money makers, and they're all about individualism. Oh, well, we gonna get the money. I'm gonna get the money. He gonna get the money. It's never about for the good of their people. We think collectively. Yeah, we can be individual at times, but if we were mainly individualists, we wouldn't have the civil rights that benefit the globe. We wouldn't be emancipated. It's just so many things we wouldn't have if we thought individually. And although we're not a tribe, we are a collective. I could say lineage. And so that's my answers for those topics, Afro.
Okay, all right.
And can you switch me with Cole? I don't like the bottom box.
I don't know how. I'm trying to see if I.
Thank you.
Hold on, let me see if I can do that. Hold on.
You gotta.
Damn. I'm gonna do it. Hold on.
Hey, switch spots. It's gonna say switch.
I gotta wait for that thing to pop up. Anybody else have any comments on that subject? I didn't know how in depth y'all wanted to go on that.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's what her. How y'all doing?
Hey, how are you?
Hey, BX. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Hey, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm FBA. I'm from Illinois, and my dad is also from Illinois, even though his dad is from Mississippi, and my mom is from Chicago as well, and granddad is from Florida.
All right.
So I'm FBA through and through. And never left the States. My family never left or took a plane or anything like that.
All right, great. What would you like to add to that comment?
Yeah, see this thing with the Black Panther thing. That's what I wanted to make my statement on. Okay, Alpha Elite Black Panther was with us in mind. The Black Americans, because Stan Lee and his partner saw that we didn't have no superheroes in the 60s and 70s like that. It was just, Superman, Batman, people like that. So they made Black Panther so we could have somebody positive, not just somebody, serving turkey and stuff like that back in the day, how they talk. With the, you ever heard of Foxy Brown movies and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
That's all movies we had. And Shaft, we had that back in the day and stuff like that.
Black exploitation.
What? What's
Black
that?
exploitation, yeah.
Black
the genre of
exploitation
movie.
movies you're talking about.
Yeah, Queen, that's the genre of movies that you're talking about. Black exploitation. Black exploitation. Yeah, that's what they call those movies. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was made for us, not Africans or Caribbeans. It had nothing to do with them. It was for us, Black Americans. And this the first time. That's why it went hard the first time, because we came out and show out just like we did for Sinners. But without us, you saw the ratings and how the money went down, because we don't like how they did. Because I even knew they were going to do what they did to, T'Challa, okay? And we had a protest so we could say T'Challa. But, at the time, because they using the sadness of what happened to the actor instead of moving forward. You ever heard that old saying, the show must go on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They failed to do that. They changed his origin. Okay? T'Challa never, ever had a child with that lady. That lady was a villain in the comics. Okay? That lady with the, green.
Mm-hmm.
In the first movie, okay? She's the villain. Why would he mate with her when he with Storm? Okay, Storm is a X-Men character, Aurora Monroe. Okay, he have a child with her, and only her, cause her child is a mixture of the herbs and mutant. Okay, his powers is greater than their powers, because technically Storm or Moreau, she is a goddess. Okay, but they don't do her whole story in the movies. Okay, they do it in back in the day in the 90s. They will show her fighting without her power. She could fight, she could do all this stuff, just like they did T'Challa. They will lower down they worth.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you
they
land so we can get to the next.
I'm sorry, I'm talking too long. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're
but
fine,
yeah,
they I don't know.
Doing this
it's not
wrong.
letting me do this. How do I switch to Spots BX real quick?
Okay, so let me see. I think you either click my profile picture, right?
Uh-huh.
Click the box and then see if you see something that says switch. You see that?
Well, I'm using, hold on.
What you using? Your laptop?
Yeah, hold on. Click the box. Yeah, I'm using my laptop, so I'm not sure. It's not popping up.
All right, I'm going to drop and request the box that I want because it's empty.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
All right. Okay, I bought out some. Yeah, I did bring out some comic book heads. Unwritten, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, no, and I agree with Queen as well. That superheroes, Marvel is very much so an American culture thing, like that's been obviously exported globally, but it's very centralized to America specifically. And so my main issue is with the fact that kind of piggybacking off of you as well, Afro, that I don't understand why we are exporting these roles when we have American talent that can feel it. And I don't even think it's limited just to like Black Brits, but it's across all industries. We've been seeing this outsourcing of American roles and jobs in general towards other people who are not from this country. And so with the refocusing, you know, making sure that we're prioritizing our communities within America, that needs to extend to the roles as well. There's no reason why this is an American-made film that has American roots that we don't have American actors and actresses playing these roles, regardless of what the actual, and once again, this is also fantasy. Like I could see the argument of, hey, if this was like a culturally significant type film that requires a little bit of cultural expertise in certain, you know, areas, then yeah, I can see you then bringing on some people for that cultural like flavor there. But if it, like, this is pure fantasy, American rooted, American funded, and it will be profited mostly by American viewers. Like all of it is very centered in our country, and we're the ones who are going to have to, we're going to be the main consumers of this. Why are the actors and actresses who are now being casted to this going to benefit from that? And so I'm just tired of our consumption being exploited essentially and outsourced to other groups of people where we don't get the benefit. If I'm going to be spending my money, it's $20 a ticket at the movies now. And I'm like, if I'm going to be spending that, I want it to go towards a Black American actor. Like, and obviously I would love to support Ryan Coogler. He's, you know, he's done incredible things in the industry. And so it's like, do that so that we're able to reciprocate or circulate that dollar back into our communities. Because every time we spend and we're, you know, having these people who are not a part of our, not even a part of our country at this point, that money is going over to the UK. And we're not going to see a dime of that. So but everyone else has their own you know, movie productions that everyone, I'm literally not going to just limit it to movies. Every single country prioritizes their country. They do not participate in this massive outsourcing of things. And the money that's generated within that company actually benefits the people of that land. And so it's like when we're seeing that done as the opposite in our country, it's extraction. So for me, I'm like, I want Ryan Coogler to do his thing, but I want to see Black American actors and actresses in all of his films, not just ones that are, you know, centered around Black Panther. So for me, I'm gonna have to bow out of this one. I'm just not in support. And I want him to kind of get a message from us to be like, look, we want to see our people in these films. It's not just about lookership and color. It's about actual ethnic and economic strategy that we're prioritizing now. So I feel like he just needs to feel that a little bit, like, oh, okay, yeah, the culture really not feeling this. So, you know, you gotta, you know, that's how we're able to speak and show that message.
All right. Well, that's what people feel about it, you know.
And they need to do the origin right. Get the story right. Stop writing stories that's not canon. If it ain't canon, don't write about it, because that's changing what people know. We know T'Challa is smart and know how to fight and do all this stuff. He ain't rely on his sister Shuri like that.
I didn't necessarily like that take, and thank you. I didn't necessarily like that take either with Ryan Coogler's Black Panther. If I can, you know, and I get it because you do need to, because in the comic book, Black Panther is pretty much you know, can do everything, and there's no need for any other side characters. So in order for you to have a movie with side characters, you need to give them some type of relevance in the film. So I can understand from a movie telling perspective, everybody has a role in the movie. I get that. But I didn't necessarily care for the idea that, you know, all his inventions come from his sister. The sister is the tech person, and he's just kind of the king and the fighter. That's not really comic book accurate. But that's just the nerd in me speaking a little bit.
Right, because he made his own suits.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff, he made his own suit. And then I don't like how they did the one that's in the water. Give them the same powers. They didn't have the same powers. You know,
Namor?
too? Yeah, Namor. He ain't had the same powers as them. Talk about that vibranium. They ain't have vibranium.
No.
See, that's why I don't like either. They messing up our culture history, because this is our history. Because this is, like I said, it's from the 60s with the civil rights movement. So it's basically our stuff they changing and erasing us. And that's what I don't like.
Okay, well, and you know, everybody's like, okay, hold on. Wait, don't do that. Tim, request up, Tim. Request up,
I
Tim.
saw the comment too. I was like,
yeah, request up, Tim. You gonna be like that about it? Request up. Let's see why we don't think outside the box. I'm gonna say this, right? It is a movie, and it's a fictional movie. You know, my biggest gripe is when they outsource, you know, foreigners to play FBA historic roles, like they did with Dr. King and Harriet Tubman and all that. That's where I have the real big issue, because these are real people with real histories. Once you get into fiction and fantasy and stuff like that, you kind of lose ground to complain about it. However, I do think that does still prove a point. The overall point that you all clearly are reaching and searching damn near exclusively for foreigners to play these roles. Okay, and I think that point keeps getting made. That's the point I'm making with this. Less of even anger and more of that. Now, before we move on to the next subject, I think, since y'all cast that, y'all can make Storm FBA. I think that's a okay compromise. Y'all messed up. I think Ryan, if you are in charge of that or whatever the case is, Ryan, you're not on good footing. That, you know, you still our brother, but if you make Storm FBA, we might be able to give it a pass. And for all the OBL, like, well, Storm's not FBA.
Yes, she is.
She actually is.
Her daddy is from New York.
Yeah, she actually is. If y'all didn't know that.
and no New York slander, because I know what happens when you say New
Storm's
York.
father is FBA. Yeah, so yeah, y'all
She might
can-
be
yeah.
ethnic group because of her mama, but she's still FBA.
Yeah, so y'all can go ahead and do that. And I think
Y'all
that we
really
can
are
kind of,
comic
I
book
think that
heads.
we'll let you pass, Ryan. I think, Ryan, we'll let you pass if you do a Sinners 2. If you make Storm FBA, we'll see Sinners 2. I think that's fair, Ryan. I think that's fair.
Now, Rashid gonna piss me off. He already called us out. Now he's saying New York with the Caribbeans. We actually outnumber the Caribbean. We do. They just really loud heavy.
Okay,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let's get to Doobie. Doobie, you requested up. Oh well, Doobie's not here. That's okay.
You may not have known he came up.
It sounded like he was climbing a mountain when he first came up, so he might not have reception.
Right.
Let's hope Doobie is okay. Let's hope Doobie is all right. But yeah, that's the point. Let me get to Aboriginals of America, and then we're going to move on to the next subject.
What's up? So I
What's
heard
up,
y'all
bro?
say I didn't know half breeds was FBAs.
Let's not call them half-breeds. They're bi-ethnics. That can be a little offensive, yeah.
So what? Roland FBA?
No, Roland's Haitian.
Nah, but Roland said he only got one grandparent that's Haitian. He said his other three is FBA considered FBA.
That's not, Roland has
1
been,
minute.
Roland has been historically inconsistent with his parents' lineage. He first straight up out the gate said he was Haitian, and then he said only half his family Haitian, and now he's saying only a quarter of his family Haitian. So Roland's always trying to, you know, less and less like belittle his Haitian history, his Haitian heritage, because he can't erase the fact he said it. So Roland keeps trying to like make it lesser and lesser and smaller and smaller and smaller. Roland's always doing that. So I wouldn't take his word for only one of his family members is Haitian. Nah, bro, that's not what he first said. So
Afro, I know his name says Aboriginal, but Aboriginal from where? Where's he from? The Americas or the United States of America? We don't even know this person. Came up here asking about FBA and half-breeds.
No, the Americas, as in North America, and I'm 0% African.
okay,
Right,
what,
but
no,
what
no, 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 no.
country you
North
come from?
America, North America is not just the
No,
United States
Long
of America.
Island, New York, Long Island, New York, and Connecticut.
No, those are your ethnic groups. What is your ethnic group?
American.
What kind of American? You talking about North America?
Black Amer-
Are you from the Caribbean, sir? Are you from the Caribbean?
No, I'm a Black American.
From where?
From, oh my God, from New York, from Connecticut, from North America.
Saying it, no. Where have you traced your ancestors to? What year?
Here,
What
here,
year?
my ancestors, none of my ancestors came off a slave ship.
I didn't ask you that. What year?
From the beginning of its time.
What
ain't get a-
year did you do your genealogy? Let's
Yes,
start there.
yes, I
What
went all the way
year
back
did you get back to? Give me a year.
The 1600s.
In New York.
Yes, Long Island, New York.
Thank you.
Okay, and the reason
so you
why
don't have any
BX is
enslavement in
asking,
your ethnic?
the reason why BX is asking is because you have a whole bunch of people from the Caribbean islands who will claim to be America because they're connected to the Americas, and they count North and South America. Because you're saying North America, that includes Canada and Mexico. So you can technically be Mexican and say, I'm from North America. Are you from the United States of America, or the land that was the 13 colonies, whatever you want to call it before, that land mass? Are you from a different land mass in the Americas?
Yes,
all right.
My people was the first contact. We the first people that ever met the Anglos. Well, the Dutch too, the Dutch.
But they first arrived in the Caribbean.
Yeah, they didn't arrive in North America.
No, the Dutch never went to the Caribbean. The Dutch was here.
You said the Anglos.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and the Anglos came after the Dutch.
So you're Caribbean.
You said what?
You're Caribbean, my guy.
I just told you my people came from. My people is from Long Island, New York, and Virginia.
Do you have so
You
we
said
can so we can
Connecticut,
move
you
on.
ain't say
So we can move
Virginia.
on. So we
Yeah,
can
I
move
live
on.
in Connecticut right now.
So we can move on. Your family lineage, does it trace outside of current day United States of America?
Listen, I'm Aboriginal. I'm more American than any FBA, anyone like that.
Caribbean. He's
Okay,
Caribbean.
okay. Now, do you see why? Okay,
Caribbean.
okay. That's all we needed to know.
No, I only
that
say that
answer is
because he
enough.
said he got off a slave ship. I never got off a slave ship.
Okay.
No, you didn't, because there are no slave ships today. But your ancestors could have.
No, my
You can't play
ancestors
semantics
didn't.
with us.
But here's
You
the
can't play
thing. Hold on.
semantics
Here's the
with
thing,
us.
though. This is what a
Because
lot of
you say you-
foreigners do. Be quiet. This is what a lot of foreigners do. Okay? Because technically, my ancestors didn't come off a slave ship. You can still ethnically be a Mexican. You can ethnically be a Salvadorian. You can ethnically be anything outside of the United States of America. So your nationality, notice he's being very vague about the nation of his people. He's just saying the continent of North America. No, we're not
I just
going
said
by
New
that
York,
because there are
Virginia.
different countries in that. We're talking
New
about
York
the
and
nation
Virginia.
your people are from. Why is that such a difficult thing for you to be?
New York and Virginia. My people was
Answer
here
this
before.
question.
You said
So we
Connecticut
can move
first.
on.
I
Answer
live
this
in
question.
Connecticut right now. BS.
Who in your family extends outside of the United States of America?
None of my family.
Extends
I'm not like
from outside of the United States.
No, that's why I said I didn't get off a slave ship because y'all immigrants because y'all say y'all come from Africa. I never came from nowhere.
Mute him,
my people was-
Afro, please, because I'm going to bust him like this, right? First of all, he said the Dutch did not go to the West Indies. Then why did they have the Dutch West India Company? Like, you need to do your research, because the Dutch absolutely did go to the West Indies, okay? They did go to the Caribbean. They took ancestors from New York to the Caribbean, and some came back. You don't know New York history. And when they say Aboriginal, don't overtalk me. When they say Aboriginal Afro, it usually is a Caribbean cosplayer. I gotta say that.
I'm seeing a pattern with that. That's the game. That's the game that they playing.
My people is the Shinnecock Indians. My people is the one that Dutch first encountered.
Sir, you have more than one ancestor. You have more than one ancestor.
All right, and my other
and you have more than one branch of ancestors.
Listen, my people. And here's my thing with the Aboriginal people. Here's my thing with that, because I do believe in that, and I always have. And there is science in history that verifies that. So I'm not refuting that aspect of it. But do you understand when people say, no, my people have been this, do you understand in the year of 2026 how difficult it would be for you to be a pure anything? For you not to have a mixture of anything at all, period. Do you understand how many ancestors you go back to the 1830s, okay? And you already have hundreds of ancestors mixed in your lineage. You go back farther and farther. You go back to the early 1800s. You have hundreds of people. Going back as far as you're talking about, you have thousands of people in your lineage. And you're saying they're all specifically from that specific tribe with no mixture of anything else.
No, some of my people come from Virginia and Alabama. That's on my father's side. My mother's side, all my people come from up here.
Even if we talk about your mother's side, you mean your mother's side. Every single person for hundreds of years. So that's that's close to 1,000 ancestors just on your mother's side. Just on your mother's side are specifically from that place and that place alone. No mixture of anything else. Do you understand how mathematically unlikely that is going to be?
So you saying my people got to have African in them?
I'm saying no, I'm not saying that.
No, because the tree only go back to 6.
So, who
is on the phone? Bring the other person on the phone. Please, I heard the person in the background. Please bring the other person on the phone.
He's just worried about not being African, that he's giving the Caribbean a pass, but yet all his people been here in the United States of America. The Caribbean are just as bad as the Africans, if you didn't know.
I don't give a fuck about no Caribbeans. I don't care about them. Fuck, I care about the Caribbean for.
Okay, bring your lifeline. Who is your lifeline in the back? Let's talk to whoever that is.
Who, you talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to the person who was talking to you.
All right, hold up.
Yeah. Yeah. How you doing?
How you doing, sir? You were saying something. I heard it in the background. So now you're on tea time. Yeah, we're not gonna be doing this. Okay. What's going on? What's going on?
Yeah, I was letting him know the tree.
You was letting him know the what?
The family tree. I'm his brother.
And you were letting him know the family tree. So in y'all family tree, y'all only have
there's no African
Aboriginal. Okay, I get it. I stop. Hold on. Okay, I get that. I get that. Y'all only have a specific Aboriginal ancestry from one tribe. Your entire family tree.
If I just told you the whole East Coast, how is that one tribe?
Okay, so it's only from the East Coast. Okay, if it's only from the East Coast, and you know the whole East Coast, and you know different. Okay, don't overtalk the host, sir. We're having a respectful conversation. If this
not low IQ conversation.
Okay, that's why you don't want me to talk, because what you're saying don't make no sense. Okay, and what your brother was saying doesn't make any sense, which is why he needed your help. All right.
Look, y'all can't Africans. Y'all want to be African so bad. Y'all.
Okay. Let me.
He's got a Latino accent.
Here's the thing. Since we're having this conversation, this is why I I'm honestly tired of the Aboriginal conversation. I'm very tired of that. And I do believe in it. And that's the crazy part about it. I do believe in it, but I'm tired of having that conversation. All right? Because then it becomes this whole purity thing that, to be very honest, do you know how difficult it is for anybody to prove at all, period? Do you know how mathematically almost impossible it is? I'm not saying it's not, but impossible for you to, even if you can prove it, you can't prove that for everybody else. And that's my thing when it comes to the Aboriginal folk. They feel like they some way, and then they want to make everybody else that other type of way. Dude, get out of here with that. They can, all of these people claim they can trace their ancestry back to Noah's Ark, you know, and it's only been one tribe that stayed in one state, that stayed in one place, that stayed in this. And for centuries, they haven't had any type of mixture of anything. And they're the purest. Dude, stop that. Stop. Do you know how impossible, going back, like I said, if you go back to the 1800s, if your ancestry is within 20 to 25 years, you already have well over 200 ancestors, including with both your parents. If you go back to the 1600s, all right, if you go back to the 1700s, not even 16, you go back to the early 1700s, you have hundreds of ancestors on both sides, okay? You had different waves of people coming in and out. You had different people who were forced to breed. You have a whole lot of mixture and stuff like that. It is, and I'm not saying there's no pure blood people here, but we are half a millennia of different people coming in, aggressive migration in this community, forced marriages, enforced other things in this in our lineage. You know, I'm not trying to, you know, be too vulgar, but you know what I'm saying? Like, as long as we can agree on the lineage of being from the United States of America, not the Americas, the United States of America, that's cool. But these folks, they want to get into, and I don't want to say a conspiracy, but damn near like, no, you got to be this purity test thing that they can't really prove. They might have evidence to it, and I'm not trying to knock what they believe, but come on now. And then if you say, well, no, these people are, because they're not that smart, which is why they don't get anything or get anywhere. They're not bright people, okay? Which is why nobody takes them serious and everybody ignores their ass. They don't have anything. They don't do nothing. And yet they come over here and they troll FBA. Y'all want to be African. Y'all want to be African. No, okay, dude. Okay. What frustrates me the most about that is the fact that even if you acquiesce to them and say, we are not African, we have no connection to Africa, there were apparently there was no slave trade at all, period. There was no slave trade, period. And all of the supposed things happened here. All of the enslaved people happened here. Nobody came from the continent of Africa. Nobody. And we're all Indian. Then there's going to be, well, I'm technically more Indian than you. It's always going to be something else. It's never enough. Then there's going to be a next step to the purity contest. No. You came after, you came in the 15, no. You came in the 1300s. My people came in the 1100s. So my people know my mother's side because we was going through. That doesn't solve anything. And it's annoying to have that conversation with these people. It is. Why people don't take them serious. Okay.
And then it's going to be the different tribes itself. Like, yeah, I'm a part of this tribe and then you're part of that tribe. We ain't even part of the same tribe for real. So you ain't even my people because we ain't even part of the same tribe. Yeah. And at that point, it's like, goddamn, we got 25,000 different tribes now in America, and we trying to make ourselves look like Africa again? Like, yeah, no, we are one ethnic group,
But remember, we had mediation with some. I'm saying indigenous, right? And some called themselves Aboriginals and stuff. And they still trolling us. It's not like we haven't tried, right? We went mute up. Mute them, Afro,
I'm
please.
trying.
That
It's
is
not working.
horrible.
I'm trying. It's not working. Okay,
So,
there we go.
thank you. So we have had these conversations and it went past just a little 2-minute interaction. We had a whole lot. We tried with the Caribbean. I mean, Afro's platform was one of mediation, and it got to the point where people kept carrying it outside of mediation, putting us on lives and this, that, and the third. I said, Afro, we can't do it no more. We tried. And he's like, yes, BX, you're right. We tried. And to come in and troll us, and we not in your rooms trolling y'all. Now, that's why I tell the foundational Black Americans who have been on this platform with me for the past 3 years, what do I tell y'all? Stop going in their rooms. Please don't. I don't care if they put me on a prompt. Don't send me the live. We got work to do.
Honestly.
They're a distraction at this point. We tried. I can't keep beating on the live torch, and neither can Afro.
No.
It's disruptive at this point.
Because these people, like, let's say that. Let's say we're all, and like I said before, I do believe there is truth to it, there's history to it, there's science to it. However, I've always been of the opinion that there also has been, and this is also historically documented, there were enslaved people from the continent that, whether they came to the Caribbean first and then they came to the 13 colonies or whatever the case is, there were enslaved people brought to this land, okay, who were enslaved with Aboriginal people who have already been here, okay? I don't think that those two truths, acknowledging those two truths, counters one of another, okay? I feel like when people are like, no, it has to be all this one thing, I feel like, okay, well, y'all just want it to be one specific thing when both things can easily exist without contradiction of the other thing. However, even if we say all of us were Aboriginal and there's no mixture of anything else, then what? Does that bring us any closer to reparations? Like, I don't like the arguing, and that's the thing when it comes to a lot of the Aboriginal people. There's a state of arguing. There's a state of arguing for the sake of arguing. And they like to use words. It's this intellectual treadmill to nowhere. It's a hamster wheel where there's always going to be an argument. Intellectual treadmill to nowhere. It's a hamster wheel where there's always going to be an argument. All right. Well, technically we were not slaves. We were enslaved. Okay. Well, no, technically we were not enslaved. We were prisoners of war. Okay. Well, what are we going to do about that then? If we're not enslaved, we weren't slaves. We were prisoners of war. Okay. Well, technically all of us weren't prisoners. It's always something else to debate about, to talk about. It gets exhausting because nothing gets done. Nothing gets accomplished and nothing gets done with that. So I'm very tired of those people who want to come up and have that conversation. Because the conversation wasn't even about that. And that's another thing. They always centering themselves, and the conversation ain't got nothing. We talking about comic books, and they be all like, "What do you mean, y'all African? What are you doing, dude?" It don't matter what we talking about. Here they come with their own thing. Well, hold on. Technically, black is dead in the book Star Dictionary. Okay, bro. All right. Thank you, man. You can't have an anti-black hate crime law because technically you got to think about the word black. Black means a deceased body. Thank you, man. Like, there's nothing that gets done. Oh, that's...
Or my favorite is when they be like, you don't know who you are. You keep using the word black. And it's like, well, what word would you prefer as you? So you got to figure it out. You got to learn. It's like, just say what you want to say. Oh, my God.
Man.
They never talk about their European admixture at all. And then when we bring it up, they call it the unalived man, just put the real word in. And a lot of these people running around here, I really don't even think, I think they are just black and European. I really do, because those people exist. And I think they run around here calling themselves Aboriginal. They just never talk about the other aspects of them. They're just that one thing. And then he brings up the Shinnecock. I believe the person in the back was Googling to see what tribes were here in New York. It's annoying. It gives me a headache, you know. But I guess we could decompress and y'all go ahead and tap up the live, please. Thank you
let's
for the
tap the
gifts. I
screen.
think you, helping Afro achieve his gift goal. Did you grab your super fan subscription? Complete your daily heart meets. We know the drill, y'all. We know the drill.
Yeah.
What else do you have on the? Are we finished with the other
I want to
topics?
also add another point to the thing before
Yeah.
I land. There is a growing infiltration of what a lot of people are calling Pan-Americanism that we have to be very aware of. When people talk like, no, well, I'm from the Americas, and they say Americas, they don't mean when people say America, the automatic thought is the United States of America, because no other place is called America. Technically, North America is not just the United States. That includes Canada, that includes Alaska, that includes Mexico, that includes Central America and all that. So we're not, when they say, well, no, I'm from North America. Oh, well, hold on. You can be Venezuelan from North America, technically speaking, if you're going to use the continent and not the country. So when people be very vague and stuff, be all like, no, I'm an Aboriginal. Well, technically there's Aboriginal people all throughout both North and South America. So that's not enough. When people are very vague about the nation and they just want to talk about the country. Oh, we were here before the Europeans. Okay, well, so were people down in the Caribbean. So what does that mean exactly? Because not too long ago, there was one Haitian woman who's known on TikTok for talking about her Aboriginal history and how she's a quote unquote American, Aboriginal American, Black American, all that. Turns out we found out she was Haitian. So I want y'all to be aware of the Pan America trick that happens. Because a lot of people, a lot of foreigners are understanding that's kind of their opportunity to infiltrate their way into foundational Black American, which is why I'm saying if we say foundational Black American, that seals the deal for everybody else. You can't be anything else and be FBA. You just can't be. Okay? It's just it seals any type of gap for anybody to kind of swiggle their way into. So I just want y'all to be aware of that.
Right. And he couldn't even go to, that's what we're saying. If you could trace your ancestors within the United States of America to an 1870 census, then that's it. We could carry on with the conversation. You could call yourself a mutt for all I care. You could call yourself a flea. You could call yourself a tick. But you got to make sure your ancestors reached that 1870 census. And now the man is saying BX is an immigrant, but BX has traced her ancestors to an 1870 USA census, and also who have ancestors enslaved by the Dutch can go back to 1750 before New York was New York. I'm colonial. Okay? I'm foundational. Like, let's be clear. Mm-hmm. You don't have the scholarship because you don't have the genealogy or the ties to this land. And the reason why you called our by ethnics, what he said, half-breeds, is because you need a way to slither your way onto our lineage because you know you're the other half that wouldn't be us. Be clear.
Oh, that's a good point. He did initially ask that.
Yeah. And there's no need to, I don't even want to call them half. There's no need to even talk to them like talk about somebody being bi-ethnic as a half-breed. That's what you call dogs. You call dogs and animals and stuff like that half-breeds. You know? That's not a respectful thing to call a person. You know what I'm saying? That's not it. Especially somebody who doesn't do anything. There's no need to even say that. That person, we're not even speaking on a certain person. So you're just saying that just to say it. That's not necessary. To call nobody no half-breeds. We have people who, in our lineage, there might be other ties to other lineages and stuff like that. But, you know, there's a more respectful thing than say that. And come on now. Let's be mature.
I was shocked by you too.
Mm-hmm. I want to bring up, now, BX, you said you had a subject about the Dominicans you wanted to bring up, right?
Right. So First of all, this is going to start with politics. Progressives. Every candidate that Mandani backed in New York was progressive. They want to abolish all borders and defund the police. And meanwhile, last time I checked, there's still people getting pew-pewed upside the head in New York. So no, we're not going to defund the police. We want adequately trained police. But I noticed AOC, a lady who's considered an advocate from Long Island, who's a progressive, and Cardi B. They're all progressives, and they've been speaking on Alabama, mentioning Alabama, saying, things like that. So we do know Cardi B is Dominican, and I just had some things I wanted to talk about with her use of the N-word, how she doubled down on she's saying it because it's the language. She was born in the Bronx, but call her a Mexican and she's ready to take her life, right? Mm-hmm. So I found the young lady on a video, and she was like, Cardi B, that Trinidadian thing, she was lying, and she gave that, but then this is what she said. She said, Black Americans, Black people and Dominicans face the same poverty and the same, discrimination. I'm like, huh? Mm. So that led me on a rabbit trail to prove that that's wrong. The Latinos actually get a lot more funding for businesses than we do. They have a lower denial rate than we do. They structurally suppress and subjugate us because they have that Spanish requirement. The Bronx, New York as a whole, the Latinos just received $30 million in funding. 11 million will go to their nonprofits that service Latino communities. And then when I asked what about, a foundation of Black Americans who descend from U.S. chattel slavery, they said they did not see any funding allocated to us or our nonprofits specifically for us. Mm. So, okay, the Dominicans have their parade, and I'm just minding my business, scrolling, and then I see it. Dominicans, I don't understand why you're acting like that. It's because of the behaviors of the African Americans, and I hate when they do that. I'm sorry, HATE, when they do that, because if they from New York, they understand that we are Black, and we say Black. When you say African American, I start thinking of an agenda that y'all have going on. But it wasn't only on Twitter, because it was here on TikTok. Talking about the ones causing the problems at the parade were not Dominican, even though they got Dominicans darker than me. Mm. So there's a new agenda going around. Afro, and I believe it comes from the elite class that kind of want to blame everything on us. But when I had to research the Dominican Republic and their parades for the past 3 years, they have had violence at their parades also. They ain't get no ratchet behavior, no violence from Black Americans, because over there in the Dominican Republic, they've become a transit hub for the white tea powder, okay? That yak, that yayo, okay? They also have legalized prostitution over there and a child trafficking problem, an issue. Their issues stem from home and the people that raised them. Stop putting the blame on us, because when you start talking about Black Americans instead of addressing your problem, I'm going to research your islands. I'm going to research your nations. Mm. And those other, and I looked at them dark-skinned people, honey, they some other type of Caribbean. I checked somebody's page. He has some type of African flags or something, talking about F the Dominicans because they ain't want Black people there. They ain't accept their Blackness and stuff. Homie, you got foreign flags. We're talking about Black in the U.S. social construct. You are a part of the African, the Latino, and the immigrant community. You're not a part of the Black community, and y'all got to stop erasing us and trying to put us as your dumping ground for your issues. It was a Dominican American who migrated here legally, became one of the first in our Congress that had to write the Caribbean Basin Security Initiative bill. They already received 81 million, right? Demanding 92 for this fiscal year to address the pew-pew issues in the islands. There's so much crime over there, and you want to come put it on Black Americans? And who you think is getting to them islands to smuggle the stuff? Not us. So it's going to be an agenda going on with them, but those I see I'm calling them to the carpet because they ain't going to keep dumping their crime, their riots, even their fights or anything on us. But then I was watching another clip. Do you know people came from like New Jersey with AKs, Afro? Good thing. And this is why you don't want to defund the police. Good thing the police was there because he chased them down and got the thing. Could you imagine the bloodbath that could have been if they let that thing ring in broad daylight? And then you want to blame Black Americans? I heard the music they was playing at that parade. I ain't dancing to that. I don't want to stand on nobody's concourse for that. That is your culture, your people, and you have the politicians that are getting y'all funding. Y'all address y'all issues and leave us alone because we got our own issues. Thank you.
I just want to say one thing. Sorry, I'm in the toilet, so it might sound echoey. I just want to say one thing. Why can't America take Haiti?
I didn't land, Afro.
Hold
Please,
on, let
ma'am, 1 minute.
We're gonna yell.
So can you do you understand what I'm saying, Afro? Do y'all understand, y'all?
I get it. And this is why there needs to be. This is why we've made sure we've made a distinction so there's less confusion. So now things can be solved. All right, y'all don't get to put stuff on other people. Y'all don't get to put nonsense and violence and all that stuff on foundational Black Americans, increasing the dark cloud in the stigma that has been manufactured for us. Okay, and notice that the stigma of Black Americans being uneducated, unintelligent, dirty, all of that stuff, the stigma that has been surrounding us like a dark cloud above our head, notice that that's kind of deteriorating. It's kind of fading, rather. It's fading away. And that is because a lot of people have been able to take their negative energy. Clouds are, storms necessarily. They're made of, I don't want to get into the science of it since we were talking about storms, have a lot of negative and positive energy, right? Which is what makes the lightning and all that stuff. They've been taking their negative energy and throwing that onto the cloud that has already been placed above us, making it larger and darker, right? What we've been doing is saying everybody's negative energy, you're going to have to take that and you're going to have to carry that yourself. You're not going to be able to dump your negative energy off on us because the YT supremacists already put a cloud above our heads and it's easy for y'all to kind of dump y'all negative energy off on us, right? And y'all get to keep the positive energy for yourself. So no. So now that everybody's keeping their energy, whether that's negative and positive, what they're realizing is that most of their energy is more negative. They have more negative energy than positive energy. And we have been, and I'm not trying to like really be too scientific or spiritual or whatever, but we have been moving forward because we are starting to balance out the negative and the positive energy in the cloud. If y'all have been following me, y'all give me, I'm sure if y'all give me, put the 100 emoji.
We have been following you, but can I just issue you a gentle reminder? This is the State of the Union of Foundational Black Americans. She sound like an immigrant and this ain't her time. She got to cut back another line.
Who is that? Who said what?
Afro T.
Afro T is an immigrant?
I don't know. She said, I heard an accent.
Afro
Thank
T,
you for the
from,
gift.
Afro T? Afro T.
She said she was in the bathroom. Like the disrespect.
Yeah,
Afro
hi.
T.
Yeah, I'm from UK. I just wanted to say
no.
Well, just come back with us later because there's some things we got to discuss. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you. You know what? I want to say this before you land. I get where you're going because they have to identify as they are. People are seeing the harms that they have done to our community, their crime that's in our community, the dirt, the grime, and all of that. Can you mute Draft? So let me say this. In the Bronx now, the South Bronx specifically, do you know the Latinos migrated here in such numbers? And I'm going to give a lot of credit to the Biden-Harris administration dumping people into our our communities, that they now are like in the 60% population, child, and we are at the 27 to 29%. We have ancestors in the Bronx that where they were once buried now have an Asian market over it. Like, I'm really not a happy camper with New York at this time, and I don't suggest y'all start lying on us. We hold our own accountable, but these are the things they do. They flee their countries because I just told you Dominican Republics are crimes that they have going on over there. So they flee over here, and then they dump what they bring here from their homelands on us. And they say the N-word more than a little bit, and I'm sick of them in that too. And if you are a Black American that be giving out that N-word pass, stop it.
Yeah, don't do that no more. Thank you. All right, because there's some things I gotta handle before we go. Let's get to, because there's another subject I want to touch on before we go. So let's get to DRAP 2, and then we're gonna get to the final subject, and we're gonna land. I'm gonna do something with the prompt. I like the prompt a little bit larger like this. That's why I kind of like it like this. But I'm realizing with the comments, y'all can't really see the prompt, so we'll work on that.
It is a beautiful prompt, though.
Yeah, we'll work on that. We'll work on it. Let's get to DRAP 2. Go ahead. You got it. DRAP 2. Where are you from, DRAP 2? Talk to us, DRAP 2.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can.
You can hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, sir, brother. What's happening? How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm gonna say this shit. Probably ain't gonna like what I'm gonna say, but all I want to say, we as, I don't even know the word to use. I'm gonna say Moors, cause I ain't with the Afro-American shit. I ain't with the Negroes. It wasn't spelled originally, if you do your history, not just saying you, I don't mean to be offensive. Negroes was spelled in a way that white people couldn't pronounce it. It was N-E something, whatever. The word nigger come from the white man who made it be something bad. Like, as you just said, they painted a negative thing on it. I do use the word nigger. I have gone to college. I have graduated. I teach and everything. I don't think that we should shy away from you have to have a firm backbone from our words in history, because in the hood, nigga is used as an endearment term. It's not used as to be, and when we keep letting them paint pictures on the words, we let them paint pictures on the history, then we ain't nothing but puppets. So I do use nigga. For all the educated Black people who don't like it, oh well, so what? I'm from New Orleans. I won't say that. You dig? I don't like Louisiana at all, because we got a governor that's messed up. But I got one thing that I really want to say. Black people should stop being caught up in the Democrats and Republicans, because at the end of the day, when them crackers sit down and go through all them bills and shit, they leave off Capitol Hill and go to the same restaurant, shake hands, eat, drink, and everything off our money. We got to come together and skip all the bullshit that we go through. We a unified Black party. When we start, like, together we stand, divided we fall. And when we get over our own stuff with us, about how you talk and what you say and what you like and what you don't like, we all got our likes and dislikes. Everybody don't like what I like, and I damn sure don't like what everybody else like. I already know that. But when we come together, and it's a mental thing first, because when you torn apart in the mind, you're gonna be for self. So you have all division. And them Cracker Jacks, they all stick together, my nigga. You heard me? And I'm gonna say nigga, because I'm comfortable with it. I know in what way I mean it. I really don't care about the politics and the numbers and the statistics, because really, it's all bullshit. America tell us we only 13-some%. That's to keep us thinking we not what we really are. Man, they done lied to us from the beginning. I don't trust nothing about this country. Not just Donald Trump. Barack Obama was great, but listen, it's still all bullshit. When we get our own thing, you know what I'm saying? And we got to have our own shit. That's all I'm saying in general. We got and yeah, we once had it. They stole it and took it away. They never went to court to face a judge for the shit they did. So, you know, it's about time, like, say, it's like, whoa, you're going to have some casualties. But say, we got to come out on top. Because when we unify from New York to California, from Minnesota to New Orleans, you dig? Then we gonna be good. When we keep on separating this and separating that, man, listen, we doing their work for them, you dig? It make it easy for them crackers. I don't care for them. All white people are not bad. I just say crackers. I didn't say white people. It's a difference, you dig? So I just wanted to say that because I really don't, all that bullshit about who this and listen, it's simple. It's straight. I'm gonna get to the point kind of dude. Just go for the juggler. You dig? All that other shit, listen, and I'm about it. But we get some more black people about it. And like I say, I'm educated in all of that good stuff, and I can speak very well if I like to. I don't care to perform on them levels for nobody. I'm going to be totally real and true into who I am and to the man upstairs. And I do believe there is a God, and when God got your back and you doing the right shit, you're going to be all right, you dig? But we can't be scared, you know? Like, because, dog, there's some lame-ass white people. Them old crooked, them old fucking bent-over ass.
All right. You know, the language, I've been trying
right,
to.
my bad, I'm sorry.
All right.
Can I ask you a question?
But see, all that, hey, white, listen, them people is bull, bro. It's bull to me. I'm listening to you, big. I didn't know she had somebody else on here. I'm listening.
All right,
I kind of want to ask you a question. I get why we say the N-word, right?
I say it every day.
Okay, wait, I didn't get the full question out. What about them other folks, them immigrants?
Listen, I can tell you something. People, the First Amendment says that people have the freedom of speech. So if you gonna play by their rules, you can say whatever you want about me. You can call me whatever you want. I know who I am. So when you call me, let's say a white person called me a nigga. So what? I'm just gonna call him a cracker. And if they want two names, I'm gonna call him a Cracker Jack.
Huh? The melanated folks, the Caribbean, the African, the
listen, I want to say this shit. Where I live at in New Orleans, we don't have too much of that like New York with all that. You know what I'm saying? We got some, but I'm gonna keep it 100. The New Orleanians in here, black New Orleans, and I didn't say Louisianians. Even though, you know, like I said, we should unite. But I'm talking about New Orleans. Man, we run this thing. So people don't say nothing that ain't out of order. They did because they know what time it's going to be. You know, and when you have that respect like that, I ain't never, you know, I don't really even run across too many white people who got the courage to call me no nigga in New Orleans. Like,
all right. Well, thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
I just wanted to ask him.
I appreciate it.
Because I was talking about black people that give the passes to others. So not everybody in New York agrees with that, know that. But you're right, it is out of control. And we do have the highest number of immigrants in the nation. And then I think Florida is after us. But yeah, we all don't agree with them saying the N-word though. But they say it more than us because my elders don't want to hear nobody say the word. Honestly.
But see that don't really bother me because we got more things going on.
No, because that's derailing the conversation now.
I'm sorry, brother. I ain't mean no bad.
No, it's all right. It's all right. I appreciate you.
Yeah, but I think
that's fine.
You know, you got to have tough skin. You know, and man, some words ain't gonna kill me, dog. And if I don't like what you say, I'm just gonna say something worse than what you got to say. Y'all can tell my mouth, right?
Yep, appreciate you. So thank you, brother.
Yeah, you're
right.
We'll
wrap up there. So thank you.
Thank you, brother. I didn't know this show was on here, but I'm gonna be tuning in. You heard me?
Yes, appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, because we need to come together. We need a unified black party to make a stance in America and don't vote no Democrat. Don't vote no Democrat or Republican.
Nobody on your phone. They're trying to reach you.
Yeah, I don't care about
that phone don't ring.
I want to talk to you. Yeah, I gave him the button, my nigga. I gave him the button. Okay. I want to talk to you.
Okay.
Listen. We been brainwashed and hoodwinked all our life with that Democrat and Republican shit. The face of the Democrats is white. The face of the Republicans is white.
Okay.
I'm not, listen. And I vote. And I don't vote. I voted But man, that shit bullshit. And
All
focus
right.
shit bullshit.
We love the TikTok shop. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're right.
Appreciate you, brother. He needs to pick that phone up. Okay. Love the energy, though. Energy is nice. I love it. We need that. See, yeah, we need that energy. We need that energy. All right. Although it was everywhere. It started with the Moors. Now where I thought it was gonna go, it kind of actually didn't go there. It just kind of went everywhere. So, I thought it was gonna go to one place, and it didn't go to any one place. So, all right then, that's cool.
It was funny till it wasn't no more, and then it was like, okay, but they wanted me to ask him to sing "What a Wonderful World," and I was just like, nah, let me ask him about something else, because then it seemed like he said Obama was great, and I was like, huh? Yeah. Let me see if he think everybody could say the N-word. I'm glad the real New Orleans came out of him, because I don't think Obama was great, but that's my anecdotal, I guess.
Yeah, all right. All right. Also, I want to talk about, there's been a lot of noise, and we talked about that before, but there's been a lot of noise after the TPS extension expired, causing a lot of Haitians who are using TPS to, have to be deported. They have no longer a legal standing in this country. And a lot of them were mad at us about that. A lot of them. Furious at Foundation Black Americans about that. So, I gotta say, as far as that's concerned, and I'm just gonna reiterate what I said before. It was temporary. So nobody can feel any type of way about anything. It was always a temporary thing. And they're mad. I think they're mad that we're not mad about it. Because if we're not mad about it, we're not going to try to reverse it. That's the thing that they're mad about. Not that we are because they know we're not helping. We're not doing anything to them. But they feel like, okay, if we're upset about it, then we're going to be making an effort, or at least assisting in their effort to reverse it. That's not happening. No, it's not happening. Okay? This is a point where everybody needs to go look at their lineage. I feel like the movement everybody needs to be very lineage empowered right now. When it comes to a renaissance, and I'm glad that we're having this as Foundational Black Americans, when it comes to a renaissance, we have to understand history. Renaissances come, and then what you see is also copies and other forms of said renaissance. Okay, anytime in the world's history, when one thing shifts, when there's a renaissance here, when other people see it, other people start to adapt. When you create something, when you invent something, before you invented that thing, other people didn't know about it, didn't even think about it. They didn't think it was a possibility for that to be a thing. Until now they seen a possibility for that to be a thing. Now other people are copying that. All right. Let's think about this. Before there was a radio or radio communications, people didn't know what a radio was. But now that people know what a radio is, or have some type of concept of the possibility, now that people's imagination has expanded to the possibility of telecommunications, now everybody is starting to mimic that telecommunications. Once you see one person with a cell phone, you understand a cell phone is within the realms of reality. Now everybody's coming up with a cell phone, or a TV, or a bike, or a car, or something like that. So the same thing happens as far as a renaissance is concerned. Once one ethnic renaissance is being done and unapologetically empowering the community, other renaissances are going to start following. We've seen that when it comes to reparations. We've seen the reparations movement take a lot of momentum, okay, and pushed down a lot of barriers. And because of that, that has now opened up the possibility for other people to say, well, you know what? Now that the idea of reparations, which I've never thought of before, now that I'm seeing the reality of that, now it's making me have a different perspective on my reparations. Are you all following what I'm saying? So by what we're doing, just naturally, we are leading and setting a precedent. This is why all of the protests that you're seeing now are very similar to that of our civil rights movement. Now, when it comes to the civil rights movement in the 1960s, right? Was that the first civil rights movement of this country? No, it actually wasn't. Was that the first uprising of marginalized or oppressed people in a country, period? No, it wasn't. There's been many uprisings in history and many uprisings in, you know, even America. However, that uprising set the precedent, and then everything else after that has been modeled off of the uprising, the civil rights movement of the 1960s. So when you do things in a certain way and people get to imagine it, it changes their perception. And now that thing is now the blueprint of that. So this is how our history has always been. We have historically always been the blueprint of culture, of invention, of innovation, of, I don't want to say struggle, but of survival, of endurance, of righteousness, of even mercy and forgiveness. We have been the blueprint of that. And now we are becoming the blueprint of reparations. Were we the first people to ever receive? First off, we haven't received our reparations, but were we the first people to America pay reparations to? No. America has not paid reparations to Foundation Black Americans. They've paid reparations to a lot of other people. Other countries have paid reparations to other countries. However, notice that in this Renaissance, we are becoming the blueprint of reparations, not the Japanese or the Native American tribes or the Alaskan Natives or anything else. We are becoming the blueprint of that. We are setting a different standard, a standard that supersedes certain things. When you have the first touchscreen phone, I remember when phones didn't have touchscreen, when phones had buttons and you used to press the buttons and it was a small little box screen so you can see the numbers and the settings on the phone. And then phones had more buttons. There were small little buttons at the bottom, but it had more buttons. And then it had no buttons. And now you can't buy a phone that has buttons except a small little flip phone. Okay? Because that has now set the precedent of phones now. When new things happen, it sets the precedent, which is why you can't buy a box TV. All TVs you see at the store are all flat screen TVs. That used to be a big thing, a super rare commodity. Now, any TV you see, you can buy. It is a box screen TV. You understand? The flat screen TV has set the precedent. The smartphone has set the precedent of phones moving forward, which is why they're not trying to, you don't see Apple or Samsung even selling anything besides smartphones. Okay, because the precedent of smartphones have been set. The precedent of culture and resistance have been set. And the precedent of empowering your lineage is being set. Going back to the situation with the Haitians, the precedent of empowering the lineage, which is what we're doing. We're not actually harming anybody. We don't even wish harm to come to anyone. But what we are doing is keeping the energy, focus, and our advocacy and effort and money and time and attention focused on our lineage. And with that, we are able to accomplish things. We are able to heal things. We are able to repair, innovate, and move forward. And that precedent is actually starting to be set. And that needs to be set elsewhere. To the people who are going home, to the Haitians who are going home, you all need to take the blueprint of what we have been doing here, and you need to bring that back to your homeland. And you need to implement that back in your homeland. Everybody does. And this isn't me being malicious. This isn't me being nasty or anything like that to anybody. No. But everybody, the precedent has now been set. And once a renaissance happened, you don't see a reverse renaissance. You don't see that happening. Okay? Once a precedent has been set, it's been set, and that's what it is. Right now, we all need to be lineage focused. Whether you're from Africa, whether you're from the Caribbean, whether you're from America. That's what it needs to be, because that is where the movement is now. Okay? That is how we defeat this system of racial injustice and this wicked hierarchy of power. That's what needs to happen. Okay? Right now, we are bodies. And what needs to happen is we need to strengthen our own body. Okay? While people talk about the benefits of unification, there is benefits of unification. I'm not going to disagree with that. However, what benefit would it be ultimately if the Army and the military, the Army and the Marines and the Navy and the Air Force, what if they all unified together, but they're all weak? They're all undertrained. They're all under-resourced. That's not a good army. It would be better to just have the Navy be super, super strong and powerful than have the Navy, Army, Marines, and Air Force, but they're all weak, all pathetic. Okay? We need to strengthen our own force. Regardless of what you want, if we want to be the Navy, we're the Navy. If we want to be the Army, Marines, we're wherever we want to be. But in this analogy, we need to strengthen our own department. Otherwise, there's no use to us teaming up with anybody because nothing can be accomplished then. So everybody needs to strengthen their own department right now. The Haitians need to strengthen that. So that way, if the Haitians, let's say the Haitians were the Marines, they can be helpful to the Navy. Right now, we've been the Navy and we've been holding everybody down and ain't nobody else been helpful. I mean, what makes American military so powerful is because they have a very powerful Navy, a very powerful Marine, very powerful Army, and a very powerful Air Force. Not one of these things are lacking anything. Now, of course, there might be stronger departments than others, but all of them are none to play with. Okay? But over here, what we've been dealing with as Foundation Black Americans is we've been the only department worth anything. I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying that to tell the truth. We've been the only department worth really anything. Who has any points on the board? Everybody needs to go back and strengthen their own department. That's what needs to happen. So if you have to go back, you have to go back. And develop yourself, strengthen yourself. That way you can be useful in some sense. Not even just to us, to yourself as well too. For the people who won't be going back, to the people who are here, who were born here, all that stuff, if you are going to be here, you still need to be useful. Right now, we do not have the time to deal with anybody who's not adding to it. If you are on a Navy vessel, you have a purpose on that Navy vessel. The captain is going to find some type of task for you. You are going to be doing something that ultimately helps the vessel, that ultimately helps the ship. What happens is that in our community, we only have a captain, the communications director, all that stuff. We have certain people doing everything, and then everybody else is coasting with a free ride. No more. Everybody needs to, if you own the ship, fine, you own the ship. All right, then that's cool. Everybody, you're going to pick up a mop at least. At least you're going to pick up a mop. You're going to be on your hands and knees with a sponge, getting them stains out the floor. You're going to be doing something. This is our demand now. All right? Going forward, everybody's got to be participating in some shape, form, or fashion. Okay? Or else you can go back to the Marines and you can get strong with them. But if you're going to be on this Navy vessel, you're going to be doing something. You're going to be participating in helping in this ship in some way. I don't care if you got to make up beds, if you got to do the laundry. I don't care if you got to stir a pot of mashed potatoes. Don't care what you're doing, but you're doing something. Okay? And you ain't picking and choosing what you're doing either. Everybody has to do something. For too long, immigrants have been on our vessel not doing nothing. They eating the food, though. They eating the food. They enjoying all of the resources on the vessel, but they not putting nothing in. So now we saying, okay, well, here's the thing. Well, you either get off the ship or you put something in. And this is their dilemma because they don't want to do either. They don't want to do nothing. They don't want to do either. They don't want to help, but they don't want to leave. And we're at this point in time where that's not an option for them anymore, which is why a lot of them are leaving. And they're not leaving voluntarily. And that's the reality of it. Is it ugly? It can be. But this is a necessary part of moving forward. It's a very necessary part of moving forward. If you want to be a captain and you want your ship to reach its destination, you need to learn who and what. I say what, but sometimes it's even a who is dead weight. And for the sake of the ship and the crew, that needs to get thrown overboard. I love the TikTok shop. Doobie is back. Doobie is back. Doobie, you gotta say something, Doobie. Doobie. Okay, Doobie. All right, man.
Doobie might be asleep, and somehow when he moves, he's tapping the request button, and then just, you know what I'm saying? Because this is too much of a coincidence.
Okay.
Too many times, yeah.
All right, then. Alrighty, then. That's okay. I'm not. Yeah, he probably sleep. Every time he toss and turn or something like that, he hitting the request button. It's okay, Doobie. All right, but I think that's good. We can wrap things up there.
This was a really great State of the Union. I was thinking maybe it would be like Monday, but it really worked out well tonight. I truly enjoyed myself. Y'all know I'm a catching, right? Y'all know, I was like, wait a minute, where you from? What? Once you see that name Aboriginal, I'm just listening and waiting for the dumb shit to come out their mouths. But despite that, I didn't really see too many hiccups. I want to say to my family outside of New York, yes, New York is a weird place, where unique place, but foundational Black Americans love all our people, no matter where y'all are in this nation, right? Even throughout the globe, because we do have expats. But I think it's counterproductive, and it really irks me when I see things like New York is Tetherville. That can only happen in New York. New York this, New York that. We never do that to y'all. And I know Mexicans in Texas say that N-word, and that's the style. In Florida, we got Kodak Black and the Zopound out there saying the N-word. Atlanta, please. Y'all be doing the most. And I bet you they down there saying the N-word, and some of them are found out to be cosplayers, and they're in the hip-hop industry. I think that when it comes to New York, some of y'all are stuck in industry politics, the whole East Coast, West Coast thing. But y'all forget New York is a port state, so we had all types of ships and immigrants and stuff coming in here. But one thing about us, foundational Black Americans, we remember our people. We fight for everybody just the same way y'all do everywhere else. And I think it's counterproductive, some of the things you said, because we're living in the belly of the beast. You think we don't know? We want encouragement, not diminish us, just because you're outside the state. And this is not to the people that I know that call me auntie, who understand I'm gonna tell the truth, that I'm gonna sniff out a cosplayer, that I'm gonna be honest about the origins of hip hop, about where, any part of our culture come from and stuff. But at the same time, you got to remember, when the South migrated up, there were people already here, and those people are my ancestors and your ancestors too. They just was enslaved here in New York. So they were the ones who was rebelling here in New York. So we have a beautiful, rich, deep, and painful history, because some people outside of New York don't think we had slavery here. And that was really weird to me, but I'm just saying. As we're on delineation, you're going to hear me complaining a lot. You're going to hear me going at the tethers and stuff a lot. But please, let's be on one accord when it comes to New York. I wasn't in the industry when the whole East Coast, West Coast popped off. I'm just finding out when the Great Migration happened, some of our ancestors who migrated up never fulfilled their promise to the South, right? But don't let that be the thing. Remember, some brought their whole families up here with them once they got established. So it's a really weird space for me to be in, because all I'm looking for is my people, but I'm met with disrespect from some. And I'm tired of that too, y'all. So I just want to kind of end it on that note. I love all my people, but we will bump horns if I feel you playing with me.
Yeah.
Playing with my city and forgetting that my city it has our ancestors, because they're still foundational. That's all I think I want to end it. And please, these immigrants, some of them play a really good game of cosplaying. I want to say thank you to the ones who come to me and say, BX, is this really what happened in New York? Or wait a minute, let me go get BX. You know, I really appreciate that y'all trust, respect, and understand my knowledge. And I don't know everything, but call me to the table to defend what's happening here in New York as far as our history and stuff. So I just kind of want to say that. Yeah, I think going to see Black Panther, let me say this too, is a personal choice, but I can't do it. Hollywood is causing another form of ethnocide. As y'all know, Brother Eagles fan did donate a media class to me, and I just got word that I am certified and I could use their studios. So we have to combat ethnocide, not only in our music industry or in our politics, but on film as well, because film is a great tool to tell our ancestors' history. And I don't mean make a movie, I mean documentaries, things like that, record our elders. So yeah, that's all, Afro.
All right.
Because, you know, I could go. Oh, we didn't talk about Blood and Bone. What's going on with that? Do you know?
Not really.
Children of Blood and Bone?
No, I'm not.
That's starring you, Bombay?
I'm not.
So I don't know if the lady is us or not, but she's saying she's being sabotaged. She told them don't do. I think it's based like off of colorism and something else, but people are upset with that movie, and I'm just like so over the movies right now, because that's another thing that's tiring to me.
Yeah.
So you don't know either, Afro? Maybe
Not
next
really.
live we'll talk about it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And somebody mentioned it in the chat. Oh, Hollywood casted someone she has issues with.
Well, we might.
Is she an immigrant? Oh, it's based off Yoruba culture. Okay, she probably getting pushed back from foundational Black Americans because it's based off the Yorubas.
Okay.
Okay. We'll talk about it next time when we're more familiar with it.
Yeah.
But I think that's it. What else did we talk about? The Dominicans, the movie.
The Dominicans. We talked about the universities, as far as the dress code of Tuskegee, the Black Panther casting. And
what do you think about that? I didn't hear the universities. What do you think about that, Afro?
As far as the dress code, I think that that's a standard. I think that that's good. I don't have an issue with that. I do hear the complaints of HBCUs, though. I hear the fact that they're not Tuskegee. They got more things to focus on, and they should be doing better for the students before they demand more from the students. I hear that, so I hear both sides of the argument. However, you wouldn't see me going outside in clothes I slept in. And I don't think, as a respectful foundation Black American, that's our culture to do so. We've always been people of great presentation. Always. We always have. We have the best presenters, period. We have to think about it. We have the best entertainment, the best performers, the best performers, presentation. Presentation is a cultural thing. That's a cultural value. It's not respectability politics. That's a cultural value. Okay? Which is why when it comes to our entertainers, when it comes to people like Michael Jackson, Michael Jackson can be so phenomenal. Beyonce can be so phenomenal because presentation is not slept on or overlooked at all when it comes to their performances, when it comes to their tours, when it comes to their music videos, when it comes to their music at all. That is what we are. And we need to implement that in the youth as well too. So I stay on that. I stay on that. You know.
I think that these conversations, remember Monique was having this conversation years ago and now it's coming back into the limelight because
I would say more so Prince and Whitney Houston, yeah, of course.
What happened to Prince and Whitney Houston?
No, as far as presentation.
Oh, okay. So and it also depends on the generation. So when I was growing up, my granny, people to this day who remember my grandmother always said she was always dressed her best. They knew her for the way that she dressed. And she used to tell me, don't go outside looking any old type of way. Make sure you look your best because you never know who you're going to meet. And I think that I have a real pet peeve about not seeing pretty people in New York, like well-dressed people in New York. And I'm starting to notice everybody in the Bronx on scooters. Somebody was outside in full pajamas and a bonnet and stuff like that. Now, I can't say this. I do wear headscarves sometimes. And I always think to myself, my grandmother would have a fit. There's nothing wrong with looking your best. And I believe that there should be some type of dress code. But that's just me. And that's based off of my anecdotal way that I was raised. My grandmother always looked her best. And that's what she instilled in me.
I also want to have a conversation since we're on this subject, though. What I notice is that every time we have the conversation of a dress code, it seems to be an acceptable thing until a black person establishes a dress code. All right. Y'all know when y'all go to a party, when y'all go to a fancy restaurant, a fancy YT restaurant, y'all know there's a dress code there. Y'all know when y'all go to the club, there's a dress code. When y'all go to work, there's a dress code. Yet anytime, and when y'all go to certain schools or establishments, there is a dress code. Yet anytime a black person tries to enforce a dress code, then all of a sudden, oh man, that's against the culture. Oh man, I remember when the Turkey Leg Hut tried to establish a dress code, and a lot of people were complaining about the Turkey Leg Hut establishing their dress code. And I'm all like, well, you have other nice, well-known restaurants that have dress codes that people do not say boo about, people don't complain about. So I also have to bring into the conversation that why is it that when a black person tries to have a standard, then that standard is gaslit with, oh, you just want to be respectable for white people, or you just want to be, oh, you don't care. No. We need, and that's why I'm saying it's about ourselves. Like there's no standard when it's just us. People feel like, well, if it's black, it can be whatever we want it to be. No. There is a standard. And if there is not a standard, you are less likely to respect that thing. Let me tell you something. Let me digress for a little bit. People, man, woman, old, young, respect standards. Even if they don't like the standard or don't agree with the standard, they respect standards in general. Okay? Standards is what is a quintessential ingredient in respect. That is a ingredient in respect in your job. Okay? There's a standard as far as your punctuality, as far as your dress, your work. There's a standard that you hold your job to as far as the work that they give you, as far as the way they talk to you, the way they treat you. There is a standard there, and with that standard there comes respect. There is a standard in which the students talk to the teachers, and the teachers respond to the students. And with that standard there is respect. There is a standard from how a child talks to their parent. Okay? There are standards there. There are standards in relationships. If you remove the element of there being standards, then you are removing a key ingredient that creates a respectful environment. In order for you to have a respectful environment, there does need to be standards. And I'm not saying that the standards need to come from one party. As a matter of fact, it shouldn't. There should be a mutual understanding and respect for standards of all parties involved. Okay? And therefore, with that, it becomes an element of respect. And in our community, we need to have a standard among each other, so there can be respect of ourselves and respect of our community. Okay? You respect other people's, when old people driving by and they see their lawn looking all nice and the gardens all fresh with waters and all that stuff. That's really nice. And there's a sense of respect when you go into somebody's house and you see everything's nice and neat and smells good and fresh and all that stuff. There's a sense of respect that you know you must have because there is a standard for that house. You go into somebody's house, sink full of dirty dishes. Okay, laundry ain't been done in weeks. Clothes all over the floor, stuff all everywhere, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you shouldn't respect that house. But the instinct, obligation, feeling of respect, even if you do it or not, the feeling of respect is going to be absent. Because the house does not have a standard that warrants that feeling of respect. Are y'all feeling me? I'm trying to get deep with y'all. Are y'all feeling me with that? And as far as yourself, as far as your person, the feeling of respect that other people have, that you ultimately should want people to have for you, you have to have that standard for yourself to warrant that respect from other people. Okay? This doesn't mean you got to be a supermodel or you got to dress like you going on a photo shoot or whatever the case is. That don't mean you got to wear the most expensive clothes every single day, or there can't be a lazy day here or there. But there is a standard. All right? And only through that standard can even a request of respect be asked for. Right? So
yeah, I don't know. I grew up where my dad went every day in a suit, and my uncles and my dad, when they went out even to party, you know, my uncle owned a nightclub, a bar, right? They were in suits. I got pictures of my dad and my uncle. I like men in suits, black men in suits. I just think that my perspective, right? I agree with Afro. There are standards. My perspective is when I was raising my children are grown. I was going to work dressed. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing people in pajamas, like they're taking their kids to school in pajamas. The way that everything is evolving and it's on a decline to me. Like I want to see the pretty people. I want to see the pretty people dressed. I want to see people where I say, Miss, where you get them shoes from? Oh, word. Okay, let me go see how much. You know what I'm saying? I compliment other women. I'm not scared to compliment another woman. So I'm just wondering how they get like this. It's like one big cloud and everybody's all dressed in pajamas and bonnets. I don't want to see that in our HBCUs. But then again, I ain't affected by it. If you don't want to go to a school with a dress code, go somewhere else though. You just won't go to one of your first choice because they got a dress code. And I'm not opposed to that. Yeah. It does something to your morale to see other people looking good.
It does.
That's my whole point. Do you remember me saying I'm about to run into the church to see how they dress? Because I got to tell you, I'm not seeing people really dressed in New York. I said this on this panel and other panels. Mm-hmm. It does your morale good to see other people looking good, doing their best and stuff. That's all I'm saying to y'all. If y'all don't get it, then y'all just not meant to get it. It's for the people who it resonate with. I want to see my people looking their best. And HBCU is where I would think I would see that in the church. Can't forget the church, y'all. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my stance on it. That's my stance on it. Yeah. Let me see. We get one more person up here, then we're gonna.
They're talking about rolling in a G-string. You know about that?
No, I don't know about it. To be honest, I'm a little scared to find out. I'm a little scared to find out. I don't know if I do want to know about that. But yeah, and this is something that necessarily the school shouldn't even have to enforce. Let's think about this. This is something that we should be enforcing among ourselves, right? And by the time they reach, because normally you ain't going to a HBCU till you about, 18, 19 years old anyway. Even if people go early, let's say they go about 17 years old, you should have a standard of how you present yourself outside well before you touch a HBCU. You know, and I get, of course, there does have to be a dress code, but come on. These are not things that the HBCU should be teaching. Okay? And here's the thing. When they see the parents dropping the kids off in pajamas, then wearing pajamas outside ain't that big of a deal. Okay? If they seeing the parents outside and, they pajamas and, or do-rags and bonnets and stuff like that, then it's not that big of a deal. Okay? And we've allowed a culture of leisureness to kind of take over. We've allowed that to take over, and we shouldn't have. We shouldn't have. There does need to be a standard. Shout out to Monique.
And they says, I hope I said her name right. There are tons of immigrants in our school. And that's another thing to be addressed too. Did you see that? I think it was Howard. They said 500 people weren't allowed to attend or something.
Yeah, I saw that. Mm-hmm.
Did you see that?
Yeah. That might be its own separate conversation though, because yeah, we're gonna talk about that for a minute. So I addressed Howard a little bit, but I didn't want to get too into that because I know that was gonna take over the rest of what.
Okay, I just want to say something really fast. I said, what if it is the spiritual way to kind of cleanse the immigrants out of Howard? I hope some immigrants got that letter and not our people. That's all. That was my first thought, y'all. But yeah. I know you got to go, so thank you for having me today, and shout out to the chat. Y'all have a beautiful and blessed rest of the weekend, and I guess we'll be back Monday, Afro.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I got an appointment at 7:30 or something like that.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I'll be on YouTube at that time. Y'all make sure y'all go to For the Culture on YouTube, and if you guys are on For the Culture on YouTube, thank you all so very much. Shout out to y'all. All right.
Be one family. Peace.